poison forever, or what the absolute best way to gain trophies is? These are 587 super secret Brawl Stars things you probably didn't know. Penny's Captain Compass was indisputably one of the most useless gadgets in Brawl Stars ever. When activated, it would shoot 5 bombs around you anywhere on the map. This sounds super good and in theory should have been a solid defense gadget, but on top of being super buggy, the delay between placing the cannon and the bombs actually landing was quite long, making it useless in many situations, and therefore got removed in just 5 months after being introduced. But there was actually another Penny gadget that got removed after her rework. The Pocket Detonator was a slightly better ability for her cannon, where it would detonate itself. This explosion dealt damage to nearby players and could even destroy walls. However, this was pretty much useful only in close range scenarios against assassins, making it very ineffective against most brawlers. And of course, we can't forget Penny's removed star power, Balls of Fire. Penny's cannon bombs now have a splash fire effect as a passive ability. Additionally, the new star power, Master Blaster, makes her cannon explode on deployment, dealing 1,372 damage and knocking back enemies. Now that's an upgrade. One of the craziest glitches to happen recently is one that actually let you fly in the air and sit above your enemies for as long as you wanted. By using Charlie's cocoon gadget on top of the launch pad and timing it so that the cocoon finishes right when you're in the air, you'd burst from the cocoon but wouldn't fall down to the ground. You just float there instead. Something similar could also be done with Doug, where dying and triggering the revive mid-air would also allow you to stay floating. Brawl Stars Godzilla update brought countless new glitches to the game, especially in the City Smash game mode, but none of them are quite as well known and powerful as the Otis gadget glitch. By playing Otis and using his first gadget while turning into Godzilla, the gadget would actually glitch out and trigger on every single attack you made. This meant you could not only kill your enemies much quicker, but also destroy buildings in a single shot, allowing you to win almost 3 times quicker than you would by playing normally. Now here we have Ben1 once again setting another world record for the fastest time to unlock all boxes, but this time he set off trying to set this world record by only opening mega boxes. Believe it or not, it only took him 2 hours and 30 seconds and 1,234 mega boxes. Damn, that's a lot of mega boxes. A YouTuber named Meow Brawl Stars set a record for the fastest time to destroy a heist safe. He managed to do it in only 4 seconds using Daryl. Ever since the introduction of Cordelius in 2024, players have been looking for ways to use him to prank others. But one of the best ways to do this is in the big game, as 5 players have to battle 1 player's big brawler. And while this looks like a boss, it technically isn't. This means that Cordelius's domain super, which only works on players, is still usable. His ability pulls him and the enemy into a shadow realm, which other players have no access to. This leaves everyone else in the match just standing around, unable to do anything. Just like how you'll be unable to contact your friends once they block you for doing this. This Dynamic used clever movement to barely turn this fight around. He dances around the back of the tree trunk and then unloads a bunch of damage before dyna hopping away. The Gene missed some crucial shots and Dynamic was barely able to deliver the finishing blow to complete a huge turnaround. Too bad he doesn't make it too far after that. Speaking of Gene, this video wouldn't be complete if we didn't mention the Gene release bug. So for those of you who do not remember, on release, if Gene were ever to use his super, it would crash the entire game. And the worst thing is, this worked in public matches too. However, only around an hour after the bug was discovered, Supercell disabled the character and managed to fix it. Developers fixing an issue right away? Now that's rare. Everyone knows that Brawl Stars has a map maker feature, but like every other game, granting creativity to players is always a disaster. This feature enables players to make their own map once they hit over 1,000 trophies, which is quite easy to reach. However, as expected, some players took things too far by designing inappropriate and offensive maps with questionable pixel art, offensive symbols, and even hate messages. This can lead to a 2-day ban, and repeated offenses might result in a permanent ban. As with any game, technical difficulties and mistakes can occur, so no hard feelings, right? This would be the case if there wasn't so many accidental bans. Supercell tends to do this a lot for random reasons in all of its games, and well, it drives people mad. Some players have even spent thousands of dollars on Supercell games just to get this treatment. Crow's Hypercharge is amazing. Just take a look at how this guy uses it to win the match. The best part about this is that it's probably the easiest, satisfying moment to replicate. So if you want to feel on top of the world, queue into a game and try this out. Okay, never mind. But did you know you can literally duplicate brawlers? Some players manage to do this by using team codes, which Supercell clearly forgot about and invited their friends while having the same brawler picked. But besides being overpowered, imagine how satisfying it is to watch 3 supers activate at the exact same time. I mean, why did they patch this? Have you ever met someone so bad that you think they have negative trophies? Well, for a short time, this could have actually been true, because if you won and then lost with a brawler, you could drop below 0 trophies, reaching a new low of -1 trophies, aka the best dynamic player. Did you know brawler exclusive classes used to be a thing? Back in the early days of Brawl Stars, there weren't just 7 classes, there were more. Well, technically not more classes, but super specific ones. Like Crow wasn't an assassin, he was a toxic assassin, Mortis was a dashing assassin, and Amber? Oh, she was a straight up fire breather. But the best ones? Buzzassin. Unfortunately, this got changed to standard classes. Boring. Many players know that back in 2019, Supercell accidentally dropped an offer by giving 49 megaboxes for just 49 gems. Crazy, right? But in 2020, they did it again, offering 140 megaboxes and 300 coins for only $2. Players went wild, sharing it everywhere before Supercell pulled it from the shop. I am pretty sure someone got fired for that. Back in the day, Shelly Star Skin was just another default everyone had. But fast forward to today, and it's one of the rarest skins in the game. If you've got it, you're a true Brawl Stars OG, since you could only get it by creating your account in 2019 and keeping it since. Do you have it? Have you ever noticed this weird inconsistency in Brawl Stars? When you press on gold in the upper menu, it gives you a full breakdown, what it is, what it's used for, and all the ways you can get it. But when you press on PowerPoints, it only shows 2 ways to obtain them. Luckily, I have tons of PowerPoint. Oh. This has to be the most annoying thing ever. When you check your friends list, this trophy and game mode icons are completely out of line. It's like someone at Supercell just got lazy and couldn't be bothered to line them up properly. Seriously, how hard could this be? If you're colorblind, well, you're in luck, because this just makes me furious. When you enter the name color selection screen, you'll quickly notice that the color order is all over the place. Like, who even organized this? Someone was totally blind when they put this together. This feature proves that Supercell thinks you're clueless. Every single card on Trophy Road is flippable and shows info about the reward on each card, as if you don't already know what credits are. Even if you're sitting at 50,000 trophies, they assume you still need a reminder. Luckily, I have a terrible memory, so this is actually very helpful. Brawl Stars is essentially helping hackers thanks to this ridiculous rule. If you submit 10 reports in a day, you get hit with a cooldown for the next 24 hours. Sure, they added this to cut down on reports, but like, what if I run into 11 hackers instead of just 10? Do they just get to live happily ever after? No, I can't let this happen. I'm gonna find out where they live and oh. If you despite Kit, then you should know Buzz can actually counter his super. Many players see Kit's super as the most annoying thing in the game since it stuns you. But here's a trick. If you encounter him as Buzz, just use your super before he reaches you. And even if Kit attaches to you, Torpedo will still move you towards the wall. Then when you hit the wall, you'll stun him instead. I can finally hate on Kit in peace. This next trick makes Janet way more overpowered, because there's actually a trick that lets her shoot both longer and wider shots at the same time. All you need to do is aim, then use Janet's gadget, backstage pass, and your attack will be both wider and much longer. Match snipers are the worst. They jump into your match just to troll and mess up your chances of winning. But guess what? You can flip this by becoming the sniper and pressing play at the same time as them. However, this can definitely lead to bigger issues, so you should probably just avoid it. Unless your friend mains Edgar, in which this case is totally okay. Master is already tough to earn, but you know what's even worse? Mastery farmers. These players basically make it their mission to ruin someone's day. They go AFK in team matches like Duo Showdown or Gem Grab, using third-party software to stay in the match the whole time. Unfortunately for them, I don't care about winning. Gem Grab is a quick and fun game mode, but it can turn into an absolute nightmare if you die with all the gems. But you know what's even worse? When you clutch it, grab all the gems and start the countdown, only to get killed right at the last second. Now everyone's hating on you, and you're getting spammed with those thumb down pins. Coins are the one resource we never seem to have enough of, and it's beyond annoying. The shortage makes sense, though Supercell keeps adding things like gadgets, gears, hypercharges, and more, and all of them cost coins. Meanwhile, we're all sitting on a mountain of power points that only upgrade brawlers. Honestly, Supercell should have increased the amount of coins we get because we're all literally broke. Guess I'll have to try and steal some coins from Griff. Takedown has to be the most boring game mode in Brawl Stars. If you've never heard of it, it's basically a mode where you and 9 other players try to deal the most damage to a boss while also being able to attack other players. But here's the problem. Most players just pick Colt, so it ends up being a match full of Colts, and everyone seems to focus on killing the other players instead of damaging the boss, which is super annoying. Honestly, at this point, they should just rename it to Colt War. We all know that the Brawl Stars community can never agree on anything, and for a long time, people in the community were actually quite divided on whether or not they liked star drops better than brawl boxes. These, of course, were removed from the game and have only been brought back for events. However, it's safe to say everyone disagrees with this choice. But that's not as crazy as this old star power. 8-Bit used to have a star power where he could just get an extra life. I've touched on how OP this was in Showdown before. However, that's nothing compared to the insane backlash developers faced as a result of this start power. I just hope they don't get any ideas for Kit. Get it? Because cats have 9 lives? Meteors were meant to prevent teaming by hitting people standing close together, but the mechanic didn't work properly, and meteors would just often hit people standing alone. Energy drinks worked vice versa. They were supposed to spawn close to people far away from other players, but that also didn't work, and unfortunately, teamers still exist. However, on the other end of the spectrum, we had Edgar. He was the first brawler released for free, and on release, he was played by literally everyone. If you entered a game of Showdown when Edgar was released, it would just be 10 Edgars in the lobby fighting it out. Ever since this day, my life has not been the same. Playing solo Showdown would be so boring without obstacles. Seriously, every time you pass those skulls, you just have to destroy them. There's this weird, unexplainable satisfaction to it. But watch out, and don't waste all of your ammo on them, or other players might swoop in and take you out. Never pick Mortis in Heist. Trust me. Mortis mains might be super skilled, but even the best pros know better than to choose him for this mode. And that is because he's a melee brawler. It's the same for BB. If you try to take down the safe with them, you'll get wrecked almost instantly. But there's an unwritten rule that's also a pro tip. If you have quests like dealing damage, pick map maker maps to actually complete them, because you don't gain or lose any trophies in these maps, so now you can just focus on speedrunning through that quest without any pressure. These skins show that you're a complete noob. Players that use Squad Buster Shelly are always bad players, and the same rule applies to Star Shelly. The thing is that these skins were available to get for free, so players didn't have to do any grind to get them at all. Star Shelly was also a skin from 2019, and to be honest with you, you would expect these players to do much better. However, most of the time, they can't even kill a bot. Sprays can be super annoying when you pull them from star drops, but I mean, hey, if you've got it, why not use it? And if you change your spray, you have to use it in your next match. Otherwise, legend says there's a jump scare waiting for you in the lobby. I bet you don't know how to control the gem spawn and gem grab properly. It may be tempting to just go all for the kills and gem grab, and sure, this strategy can even work if you have an aggressive team composition. However, it's very important to control the gem respawn in the middle of the map instead of overextending and putting yourself at risk by chasing endless kills. Blue's Ice Block gadget is absolutely unreal when used correctly. The Ice Block gadget makes you immune to damage for a few seconds, but a lot of Blue players only use it when they get really low on health, only to die as soon as it wears off. It's more effective to just use the gadget when either a ton of damage is coming your way or when you see an enemy about to use their super on you. That way you can get more value out of the gadget and also set yourself up to be able to fight once it runs out. Doug mains love their hot dogs. Pause. But here's the thing. While they spam Doug's super like crazy, thinking it'll save them from any situation, there's one thing they still don't get. His hot dog super can't actually revive you in the storm. You'll just get a flying glizzy on screen and die instantly. If someone told you Supercell has realistic gameplay mechanics, they're way off with this one. Gene's super usually pulls enemies right to him, but if Gray's portal is in the mix, well, Gene's hand just flies right over the portal, and the enemy gets pulled straight into the portal and teleported away. Supercell should definitely add some portal mechanics to make this make sense. Otis is a fun brawler to play, especially with his mute ability that shuts down other brawlers' powers, but a lot of Otis mains think they can mute Sam, and that once he's muted, he won't be able to pick up his knuckles knuckles from the floor. Well, he totally can, but hey, at least he can't use them, right? Everyone knows Gus's super can be pretty handy when it comes to giving extra shields. But did you know you can actually use it on anything with health, like pets or turrets? So much for helping out your Nita bear. If you're playing Tick, you probably love spamming his super. That chasing, exploding head can be terrifying, but some players believe you can spawn 2 heads at once. However, if you try to do that, the first head explodes and then the second one appears, so it's completely false. The only time we ever saw multiple heads at once was during the Godzilla event, where Tick could summon 3 heads at the same time. Now that was truly scary. I bet you didn't know that creator codes actually expire. Yep, when you enter a code to support your favorite content creator, it only lasts for 7 days. After that, it just disappears, and you are not supporting anyone anymore, unless you re-enter the code. If you ever poked around in the Brawl Stars settings, you might have noticed that one option is missing, the Facebook Connect button. This feature used to help players find their Facebook friends who also played Brawl Stars, making it easier to team up. But let's be honest, only boomers use Facebook, so it's no surprise Supercell decided to get rid of it. Hey, how do you expect me to add my friends now? El Primo had a face reveal. In case you didn't know, in an official Brawl Stars animation, there's a scene where RT sneaks into El Primo's room just as he's taking off his mask, and when he finally removes it, his face is blurred. However, you can actually see that El Primo has a mustache under the mask. I guess it's time for me to start growing one too. Speaking of masks, a lot of players think Griff is actually a robot because of that mask, but if you look closely, there is a hole in his gloves that shows his skin, and if you peek under his mask, there's also a neck there. So yeah, Griff is totally human. Did you catch this limited edition spike trick? In the Angels vs Demons event, they introduced power-ups, and while they seemed pretty standard, the Fire Path power-up caused chaos. This is because Spike's star power let him heal on his super, and it applied to the Fire Path too. So while he was moving, he was literally invincible. But a few hours later, Supercell stepped in and disabled Spike. In one of the minor 2024 updates, Brawl Stars introduced this cool feature. Whenever you change the skin on a brawler, it will show the background from the collection it was first introduced in. This also sparked some ideas, and players have been suggesting that it should be available default skins based on which part of the trio they belong to. For example, Tick should have a pirate-themed background since he's part of a pirate trio. Mo is a cool little mouse, and you probably know that, but did you know there's even a cooler reference in this voice line? Here's what I mean.
Sanitation rocks the nation!
You probably recognize this as it is referencing the song Party Rock Anthem. However, I think true inspiration comes from an old YouTube video of this guy shoveling. What do you think? You've probably never noticed that Supercell actually slips in a ton of references to famous shows and games on their social media. They've done artwork inspired by The Matrix and even Spider-Man. And who knows, maybe all these little hints mean we'll get some real collabs with those series in the future. Lately, there's been a ton of videos claiming you can get a legendary star drop if you just click it the right way. So let's test that out. The theory says to tap the rare star drop on the right, then the epic on the left, then mythic at the bottom, and boom, it's legendary. However, don't get hyped because it's fake. And Brawl Stars drops are purely based on luck and there are no shortcuts to it. Never believe these players, since it's just an easy way for them to get free views. To be honest, they literally deserve Edgar treatment. Are Jean and Kit the best duo showdown combo in the game? Well, it turns out Jean's super can pull enemies close, and Kit's super lets them pounce right on top of the brawlers. So while Kit's busy in his attack animation, Jean can just pull the enemy right out of the fight and into the safe zone. Guess Kit and Jean really are the perfect duo in Brawl Stars. So apparently, if you're playing with a brawler that has under 500 trophies and lose, your next match will be against bots guaranteed. Alright, time to throw this match. On purpose, of course. And now I have to start another match I'll be playing against bots. And it's true. To be honest, I don't see that much of a difference because every player is like a bot to me. Byron is a healer, and as we know, many support brawlers have the ability to heal turrets and pets. So Byron should be able to do it too, right? Well, here we have Jesse's turret, and I'm about to use his healing on the turret. Unfortunately, it looks like he can't heal any turrets, so this myth is busted. Melody gets her surrounding notes by attacking players, but can you get them by attacking turrets? Okay, we're in a match with Melody, and I'm going to attack the first turret I see. There's Jesse's turret, and look at that! I refilled all of my notes. This myth is true. Mo is a little mouse that can go underground, but that should make him invincible to environmental traps. I found this testing map, and we're going to start first with spikes. Using his super, Mo can avoid damage from spikes. spikes. And that's not all. If he goes under slow pads or speed pads, he won't even be affected at all. Myth is confirmed. But speaking of Mo, he may actually be the worst nightmare for Sprout, because apparently he can go under Sprout's wall by using his super. So I'll have my friend use his super, then I'm going to go underground with Mo. And look at that! Mo was able to go under his wall. I bet you've been spawn camped before. Yeah, it's the worst. But instead of rushing in solo to fight the enemy team, here's a smarter move. Wait for your team to regroup before attacking, because if you trade kills with one of them, you'll respawn right there, but they have to cross the entire map to get back to you. So stick together and use the power of friendship. Not paying attention to this can make your brawler completely useless. In ranked matches, a random modifier gets applied to the game, and if you ignore it, you're in big trouble. For example, if the sick beats modifier is active and you pick a brawler that relies on stunning, you've basically sabotaged your whole team. On the flip side, modifiers like quickfire can make certain brawlers like Leon way more effective. So next time, check that modifier before you lock in your pick. Don't waste your bling on brawler pins or sprays. They're way too expensive for almost no payoff. Instead, you can snag a much cooler skin with animations or even profile icons for the same amount. When Buzz Lightyear joined the Brawl Stars as a limited time brawler, players loved the idea of temporary characters like him. Many suggested that every season should feature brawlers that are max level, fun to play, and easy to grind for seasonal trophies. Let's just hope we don't end up with Skibidi Toilet as the next limited time brawler. But speaking of new characters, there's an amazing concept by a player called Double Dash for a brawler named Harper. She's part of a Love Swamp trio and plays as a support. Her healing aura restores her teammates' health over time, while her attack, Strum, lets her strum her harp weapon. Her super is even cooler. She can activate a swampy aura that either heals or boosts his damage, and she can switch between the two. One of her gadgets, Swampy Savior, lets her grab the teammate with the lowest health, which is something we've never seen in Brawl Stars before. Double Dash even made a full list of her voice lines and pins. If you've got pro photoshopping skills like me, then you've got to troll your friends with fake patch notes. Grab a screenshot of the latest patch notes and add wild changes like Edgar getting a one-hit kill buff, Kid jumping all over the map, or even your mom being ended to the game. Yeah, that would probably take a few extra gigabytes to download. But speaking of making fake things, another genius way to mess with your friends is do a fake support prank call. And by that, I mean calling your friend, acting like Supercell support, and telling your friend that they are in 1 million gem debt. But don't worry, if they buy 1,000 gems on your account, it'll go away. Okay, Supercell might ban you for impersonating them after this, but hey, at least you got some laughs. Okay, maybe not. However, the most lethal thing you can do to your friend is to simply start a rumor about them in the club chat. Start telling everyone else that they've been win trading, paying to get their account boosted, stealing their parents' credit card, defrauding the entire American banking system, and selling the data to foreign countries, or that they main Edgar. Yeah, that last one is definitely the worst. Of course, your friend will instantly reply and say you're lying, so make sure to do this at times you know they aren't online, or simply get them kicked from the club altogether. Now nobody will know I was lying. Most players alternate between winning and losing non-stop, but what if you could do both at the same time? Well, it turns out this is actually possible, as when a player named Tomato753 noticed his trophy gains didn't match what he had earned, he checked his matches, only to notice that while he was queued into a game that he won, his account had also been queued into a second game, with a bot taking his place. Not only that, but you can see the games are only 6 seconds apart, proving that he managed to be in 2 places at once. If I had this superpower, you would never see me at school. Well, you would, it just wouldn't be me. How does this make any sense? I bet you didn't know that Kid can dodge attacks while using his super, at least if you're lucky enough like this Kid. First, he finished the enemy playing casually, then jumped on the enemy on the lower portion of the map, and while he did this, Colt noticed him and came for what he thought was an easy kill. But what Kid did then is accidentally activate a bug which let him move up and down, dodging all of the bullets. Does it only look for me? Why can't I get luck like this? Today, I was checking my account. Something super suspicious popped up. A secret star drop from Supercell. So for the sake of creating one of the luckiest moments ever, I decided to open it right away. And it's Frank. Guess I'll be blinding everyone with his shiny bald head in game now. Supercell has no reason to add this idea to Brawl Stars. Now, when we think of progression inside the game, we either have Star Road, Star Drops, or Masteries. Well, what if instead of only having Masteries on Brawlers, we also had them on game modes we're playing? Not only would this open up so much space for progression, but it would be fun to have some titles that are related to specific game modes. Now I can finally prove I'm the #1 Brawl Ball player. If you played Brawl Stars in its OG days, then you would know that unbeatable nostalgic feeling of the older season. Because of that, that, players have suggested adding a version picker in custom games so you can relieve those older updates of the game. Not only would this let you bask in the nostalgia, but it would also give you access to some of Supercell's past mistakes, like when certain brawlers were just too overpowered. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Edgar. This battle card idea needs to be added, but the problem is not many people have unlocked all of the brawlers, and because of that, only a small group even has access to global, solar, or alien battle cards, which is why Supercell never even gave attention to making them customizable. However, for the top 0.1% of players, this would let them become way more intimidating. A YouTuber named RealSlap managed to break a record for the fastest Brawl Stars heist game. He did it in 19 seconds, which is really good. But another YouTuber named 407KC managed to break that record doing the exact same thing, but in a single second. However, that was done in a matchmaker, so I don't think it really counts. Subscribe if you agree with me. Now, believe it or not, but one Brawl Stars YouTuber managed to unlock every single brawler in a record time. It's crazy that someone has set a record for that, and the YouTuber I'm talking about is BenTim1. In one of his videos, he created a new account and managed to get all the brawlers in 1 hour and 14 minutes. I mean, yes, he did use game passes and spent a lot of money, but hey, he did set a world record. BenTim1 is a Brawl Stars YouTuber known for getting some crazy world records. This time he set a record for the fastest time it takes to max out all brawlers. Knowing him and the way he does it, I can't even imagine how much money he spent. But however, he did set a record by maxing out all brawlers in 11 hours and 37 minutes, and that's just unbelievable. Skins in Brawl Stars look awesome, but buying too many can drain your account fast. Luckily, in 2021, Supercell accidentally released a bunch of skins that players love. Well, not really. You see, a strange glitch in the game's rendering code caused every brawler to be fully black everywhere except for their eyes. This surprisingly looked really cool on most of the brawlers, but some weren't as lucky. Like Spike, who doesn't even have eyes, and because of that, literally turned into a shadow. Remember how El Primo shoots bullets from his fist? Yeah, me neither. But years ago, this was actually sometimes the case, as a rare glitch allowed El Primo to access Daryl's recoiling rotator gadget, and he would spin around shooting bullets from his bare hands. Well, El Primo's magical abilities aren't limited to just magical bullet hands. He also used to have the power to instantly win games of Robo Rumble by just using his super once. On Robo Rumble maps with a large enough rock wall, it was actually possible to use El Primo's super to trap yourself inside the rock. And since the robots couldn't figure out how to get to you, they just stand there doing absolutely nothing, not even bothering to attack the safe. And after just standing in the box for a while, the game would just end as a win. Did you know that Brawl Stars was actually meant to be played vertically? Well, sort of. You see, in the beta version of the game, the screen was actually vertical, even on devices like iPads. However, when the game was launched globally, it was changed to be horizontal, although some players still managed to find a way to glitch it back to vertical, which I talked about in my last video. Boxes have to be the most famous removed item from recent years. Opening boxes gave you a chance to get coins, gems, XP doublers, brawlers, and more. However, developers decided to remove them in late 2022, instead being replaced by a road to unlock new brawlers. But ever since this update, players have been complaining non-stop and literally begging for boxes to be added back. So in June 2024, devs added mega boxes back to the game in the classic Brawl event update. Unfortunately, this was a limited time event and mega boxes have once again been removed. Please add them back. We all know that hiding in the bush is an effective strategy for showdown, but accidentally revealing that you're in one will almost always lead to certain deaths. So the next time that you and your friend are hiding together, simply use any one of your moves to reveal your location. Bonus points if you destroy the bush. If your friend asks, what happened? Just simply say, it was a misclick. It was a misinput, calm down! It was a misinput! Did you know objects in heists are there to protect the vault? Of course you did. But what if they were removed? Next time you're playing heist with your friends, pick a brawler with environment destruction abilities and destroy the vault cover. This will certainly give a huge advantage to the enemy team and leave your chances of winning the game at a staggering 0%. Okay, maybe not quite that low, but if your friends can still win even with this big of a nerf, they should be going pro. Daryl is one of the few brawlers that can move on water, and back in the day, players could abuse this to pull off an evil trick. When your friend dies in a duo showdown, do a barrel roll over water a couple seconds before he respawns. This way, he'll respawn in the water completely unable to move, and will get eventually killed by the zone or the players. I just wish this still existed today, because because trolling would be so easy. I'd literally be in the water more than Michael Phelps. Are you good at chaining supers in Brawl Stars? Well, this Mandy definitely is. She starts by shooting her super and manages to hit 2 enemies in 1 shot. With the damage done, she managed to charge another super and hit 2 players with it again. With her once again charged super, she shoots again and manages to pick up a wild triple kill. That might be the best Mandy I've ever seen. Pro player movement is sometimes incredible to watch. It's so hard to dodge and juke properly in Brawl Stars, but pro player Tensai has it down to a T. In this bounty game, he dodged just about every shot fired at him for 15 seconds. There aren't any words to describe how crazy this play is. He might just be the GOAT. I bet the report button looks super familiar, especially after getting killed by Edgar. It's specifically designed to help you flag players that are always trolling or breaking the rules. But if you keep spamming reports or being killed like the noobs that you are, then get ready to part ways with Brawl Stars. Many players have wished to play Brawl Stars on PC, and well, there is a way to do this by using an emulator. But you guessed it, it's against the rules. Supercell loves to swing that banhammer in the corner, watching you get all those ideas. Currently, Supercell is actually expanding to have their games on desktop, but Brawl Stars hasn't made the cut yet, and it probably won't for a while. This is probably for the best, as I know someone out there is going to waste a NASA computer just to play Dynamite? Ew. One of the most satisfying moments isn't even in the actual game. This player managed to be the 85,000th liker of this post, and when he unlikes it, it switches back to 84.99 thousand likes. This just proves the liking system for news posts is showing results real time. I might start liking the news from now on. But this moment was so satisfying that these players were ready to throw the game just to experience it. During a regular match of Brawl Ball, one player kicked the ball into a bouncer. However, the ball got kicked at the perfect angle to get stuck infinitely bouncing back and forth. And when everyone realized it, they just stood there and watched the ball bounce up and down over and over and over. The match finished in a draw, but I'd say that was well worth it. This Brock probably has a Luck Star power equipped. The way he managed to get this free quad kill. Here, Brock is walking casually in a showdown when he sees 2 enemies. As he approaches, he's aiming with his super and unleashes it. But what he didn't expect is for the other 2 enemies to jump right into his attack and demolish everyone. I mean, that's a free quad kill, I guess. If you're an OG, you probably remember seeing leaks of this minigunner. It was an overpowered brawler which could one-shot the entire map. Okay, maybe not that overpowered, because it was actually a placeholder for Pam while she was still an unfinished brawler, which leakers confirmed in the game files. The leak showed an old bull model which walked really oddly and could shoot like Pam. He was literally able to shoot tons of bullets with his tiny shotgun, leading to players thinking a minigunner was going to be added. I've never been more disappointed. Brawl Stars used to have chips as currency. No, not those chips. Chips were a separate currency that looked like poker chips and could get you any brawler you wanted for a certain amount of chips. You could get these by opening brawl boxes or simply by getting duplicate brawlers. But these were eventually removed, and anyone who had leftover chips received an equivalent value in gems. Did you know Brawl Stars changed its tutorial multiple times? Probably not. But between 2018 and 2020, the tutorial changed 3 times, with these being mostly just map tweaks. But the 2017 tutorial was strange. It taught players to hide in bushes with waypoints and had you defeat bulls and dynamites. If they were Edgars instead, I might have actually played the tutorials. There was a wild glitch in Brawl Stars where you could swap star powers and gadgets between brawlers. I think I've mentioned this before, but it gets even crazier, like giving Mortis Coiled Snake to any brawler or bull using Poco's Da Capo to heal teammates by attacking them. But my absolute favorite combo was El Primo throwing fire punches with Brock's incendiary star power. Gadgets were also swappable, but Supercell quickly patched this in Season 3 update. Many players think Bull's profile pic is one of the coolest brawler pics, but I bet you didn't know there's a tiny flaw. A single green pixel line. And no, it doesn't stop there. Brock's picture has the exact same issue, even after his recent picture update. If you go to the brawler menu and search for them, you'll see it for yourself. But if you want even more curse lines on your screen, just play a friendly battle against an Edgar. And I've thrown my phone at the wall. Speaking of brawler profile pictures, Lou has something you'd never expect. Hair. hair. Yup, if you look closely at his hat, you'll notice something poking out that looks just like hair. Now, I know this is technically just his weird tiny brim, but you can't tell me you don't see it. Everyone loves spending time in the training grounds, but I bet you didn't notice this. If you load up and take a closer look, you'll see that the center of the training cave is actually off center. You know what? That just ruined my day. But if you're a fan of ranked matches, I'm about to ruin your day, because I bet you didn't know that the quick fire icon for the match effect is completely off center. I mean, why does it even look like that? Supercell should definitely hand out 100 legendary star drops as compensation for this eye burn. There is a secret way to change Crow's walking animation. If you use Crow's super a few times during a match, you'll notice he starts walking a little differently. Not gonna lie, he looks like he seriously needs to find a bathroom. Did you know it's possible for you to create a fake marking with Nita? If you use her bear stun gadget and go to the upper section of any map besides training grounds, then spam gadget without having super ability activated, you can actually see a red mark just in the left corner. Maybe that's where the bear is hiding. If you're so bad at the game that you can't even get a win against bots, then you should know there's a way to never get found by them. Start a solo showdown against bots, but make sure to pick a map with skulls on it and a brawler that can jump, like Dynamite. Then, when you find the skulls, destroy one and jump into that empty spot. Bots will keep searching around for you, even if they are standing next to you. I'm not really sure why you'd want to do this, but it's good to know that you can. This is the ultimate prank you can pull on Sam mains. If you're playing as Jackie and have the rebuild gadget, wait for Sam to toss his knuckles near some broken walls. Once he drops them, activate your rebuild gadget and boom, you'll trap his knuckles inside the wall. He won't be able to pick them up either and will get completely stuck. I absolutely hate when the enemy team grabs the ball and scores while my whole team is stuck on the other side of the map. But did you know you could stop your opponents from far away with Willow? If the enemy team is rushing towards the goal and you use Willow's mind control, the ball will bounce off of the goal. Since you're technically controlling the enemy, the ball counts as yours, and because Supercell removed auto goals, the game thinks it was supposed to be an own goal. Getting bad quests can totally ruin your day, but imagine hopping into the game and getting a quest to deal 1 million damage. Okay, maybe not that much, but dealing 100,000 damage with a low-level brawler can take forever. Then there's also play again x 10 times, which is so boring, but the worst of all is duo showdown, because random teammates just suck. Wait, I just got a new quest. Play with your friends? Yeah, we'll re-roll that one. Buzz noobs need to be banned. If you've ever run into one, you've probably seen this torpedo flying across the entire map, missing everyone, and then honking himself right into a wall because he thinks he's Spider-Man. And while all that's going on, the enemy team scores on you and you lose. Buzz is supposed to be an assassin, but with these noobs, the second half of the word can be left out. Back in the day, you could stack and save Brawl Pass rewards until you wanted to claim them, but guess what? Supercell changed that, and now, whenever you log in after the season ends, your rewards get collected automatically. Players were furious because all their credits would just go to fame instead of being saved for the next brawler. Supercell is lucky this looks so satisfying. Otherwise, I'd be emailing them some slightly impolite messages right about now. Everybody hates ranked star drops, and yeah, they're usually just as bad as regular star drops. Sometimes you might get a mid-tier skin, but most of the time, it's just that useless bling. Lucky for me, I don't even get them because my teammates are so bad that I've managed to work my way into negative rewards. I'm in so much debt to Supercell now that I'll need to start sending them star drops as compensation. I bet you didn't know about this bug. The Lily super bug was a fairly unknown one because it was a bit more tough to pull off in a regular game. However, if you did manage to pull it off, you'd crash the server for everyone. And the craziest thing is, you'd still get all the trophies as if you won the game. Everyone hated release Leon. Leon's release was timed with the global launch of Brawl Stars, and when he was released, he was so broken he ruined the game. The problem was that because he was a legendary brawler and therefore super expensive, he was completely a pay-to-win addition, and Supercell had to quickly drop a nerf to fix the problem. Club Leagues is so old at this point that you may not even remember it. Supercell removed them alongside Club Coins ages ago because the community absolutely hated it. Club Leagues were just an endless grind, but you always felt that you had to play because the rewards were just so good. Luckily, we now have the Mega Pig, which is much better. Okay, somewhat better. Okay, fine. Barely better. Did anyone actually like this mode? Only some of you will remember Lone Star, a mode removed over 3 years ago now. Man, I'm getting old. Anyways, it was somewhat similar to Showdown, but people hated it. This is because players could win the game by just picking long-range brawlers and stealing eliminations. And after receiving tons of complaints, Supercell realized their mistake and removed it in 2021. Hypercharges were terrible when they were first released, and people really didn't like them. Like how Cordelius's hypercharge was way too slow. But luckily, as time went on, Supercell gradually changed them to be more interesting, along with fixing all the issues their original concept brought. Most players remember how terrible Colette was on launch. Her damage on release was so weak that characters could literally just out-heal her by standing still. Thankfully, Supercell buffed her rapidly, so I no longer have to wait 12 business days just to get a kill. As a member of a club, one thing you have to do when entering a game is check the club chat. Sometimes you'll find yourself in the middle of a cool conversation, but other times, yeah, it gets weird. I would actually brag about how I got a new legendary brawler in the chat and I got kicked. Getting one shot by Shelly from the bush is probably the worst part of solo showdown. To avoid this, always check the bushes, because the moment you least expect it, there she is. Nah, for real though, maybe try having some skill and face me in a 1v1 next time. After unlocking a new brawler or skin, you have to take a screenshot. It's basically a rule. I've spammed my friends' group chat with so many of my achievements that they actually banned me from it. I won, but at what price? Speaking of gadgets, there's actually a way to know when your teammates or enemies have their gadgets ready to be used. There's a little icon that appears at the bottom of every brawler if they have their gadgets ready. If it's missing, that means they have no gadgets available. It amazes me how many people still don't know about this. 99% of players don't know this crow trick. I haven't met that many crow mains in my life, but the ones I have met all tell me the same thing. Hit everyone with your attacks in the early game. Crow's attacks have anti-healing, and in the early game, hitting all 3 players with a shot can seriously disrupt the enemy team if they try to heal up. Prioritize this over just going for kills and you'll find yourself getting way more wins. Some people say Max is inspired by the character Flash, but if that's true, can she run through dimensions? Well, players think that's possible with her gadget Sneaky Sneakers, which teleports her to her previous location. So if she uses it before being pulled into Cordelius's dimension and activates it for a second time, then her gadget would actually teleport her, but inside the Shadow Realm. Yep, no teleporting through dimensions for Max. Have you ever tried auto-aiming to find an enemy in a bush? Well, if you think this actually works, I hate to break it to you. It's just not true. All you're doing is firing into empty space. And that Edgar, he's not in the bush. He's actually hiding in your room. Tick was supposed to look completely different. In the Brawl Talk episode where he was first introduced, his eyes were pointed inward, and he looked a lot happier. But later on, Supercell decided to change him to the robotic look we all know today. Did you know that there's a One Piece reference in Brawl Stars? Yep, that is right, and it's the Man of War skin for Doug. This skin can be immediately recognized by One Piece fans simply because of his white mustache, which resembles the character Whitebeard. I'm just not sure why out of all the brawlers, they picked Doug for the skin. This experiment is kinda wild, because I need to find out which brawler would be the most dangerous in real life. If you're a cat, then Hank's water attack is bad news for you, but let's be serious. If we had to pick the most dangerous, it's gotta be Brock. Just imagine a storm of rockets coming at you. You'd be done. Although, I wouldn't really want to face any of these guys, except Barry. Come here, you fluffy unicorn. Ah! Hank is Otis's friend. Then silence shouldn't work on Hank. Or does it? I got myself a friend that's going to play as Otis, and I'm going to play as Hank. Then I charge my attack, and Otis uses his silencing super. Wait, I can't use my attack. Okay, so what happened is that when I was silenced, my attack essentially got frozen, and the moment the effect got off, it finished the attack. So no, Hank cannot attack when silenced. However, I think Hank should still be nerfed. We know that Willow can take control over players, but what about pets like Bruce? Let's find out. So, I'll have my friend spawn Bruce, and then I'm going to launch my mind control ability, and the bear starts attacking my friend. What's even crazier is that I'm controlling him infinitely. This is actually a pretty good way to counter Nita mains. This is one of the most common mistakes players make, missing your daily freebies. Not only are these a great way to rack up extra resources for your account, but you might also hit the jackpot and score a huge reward on any random day. So don't forget to check it regularly, and it's -5 gems. Woohoo! Have you ever been caught up by another player while using Leon's invisibility and thought they were cheating? Well, they're not. They just had their volume cranked up and could hear your footsteps even though you were invisible. So if you're playing with your sound off, it's basically like giving those players superpowers. Turn your volume up. Your team needs to know where to go. One of the biggest mistakes teams make is funneling. In other words, all grouping up in the same spot on the map. This makes your entire team as an easy target, especially for brawlers with AoE attacks. So next time you play, make sure everyone picks a lane, left, right, or middle, and stick to it. Did you know that even if your team funnels, they can still end up in bad matchups? If you're getting destroyed by a brawler that completely counters you, don't just stand there and take it. Talk to your teammate who can handle that enemy and swap lanes. And don't stop there. Keep switching positions throughout the match, because trust me, the other team is doing the exact same thing. You have to always stay 2 steps ahead. Sometimes players on your team deserve to get sent to the gulag. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but reporting players should be possible in every mode, not just ranked. If this was added, I'd probably report people non-stop and every single one of my teammates would end up banned. Brawl Stars fans might actually be better at designing skins than Supercell. Magician Grey is a fan-made skin concept by Buddha Dad, and it's absolutely incredible. The design perfectly matches Grey's theme and lore. Honestly, it's way better than any of his current skins. But for some reason, Supercell passed on it. Maybe they were just jealous because a fan outperformed them? Imagine spinning a wheel every day to get a free reward. Well, that was essentially the idea behind the Daily Lucky Wheel, a freebie system that would be way more fun than the usual freebies we get. Some players even suggested a version where you could spin to unlock brawlers, which I don't really think is needed, would be quite cool. Add the wheel, Supercell. Bounty is already an infuriating mode, but if you really want to mess with your friends, pick the brawler with the lowest health. Right now, that's Tick, and if you have him at level 1, he'll just have 2,200 health, making him an easy one-shot target for most brawlers. Good luck surviving that. Speaking of Tick, his head bomb is probably one of the most annoying things in the game, but we're about to make it a million times worse. Just pick El Primo, and when Tick launches his super at you, use Primo's gadget to throw the head bomb straight over to your teammates. And boom! Just tell your friends they'll need to get better at playing hot potato. There are tons of ways to troll in Brawl Ball, but the most infuriating one has to be passing the ball to teammates while they're mid-fight. It's the worst because when you pass the ball, it eats up 1 ammo when they shoot it, and if they're playing Mortis or BB, it wastes their fully charged attack. That not only leaves them vulnerable, but also gives the enemies a huge advantage, and they'll probably pass the ball to them by accident. Frank's noise cancelling gadget can cancel every stun in the game, making it super useful, except when you use it in a mode with no stuns. So to piss everyone off, pick this gadget in a ranked match with the Sick Beats modifier, which completely removes all stun abilities. Now you've got a gadget that does literally nothing, and your teammates? Yeah, they're probably furious. Way to go! Buster is known for one thing, deflecting almost any attack thrown at him, but if you really want to mess with your teammates, here's a brilliant way to misuse his super. When your teammate expects you to protect them, just turn your shield the opposite way, completely exposing them to enemy attacks. They'll take all the damage, and if they ask why you're not deflecting, just say, "Don't worry, I'm keeping your back safe." Perfect teamwork, right? Sprouts with hypercharges might think that they're unstoppable against Cordelius, but think again. If you get pulled into Cordelius's dimension after deploying your hypercharged super, you'll notice something strange. It won't deal any damage to Cordelius inside the dimension, even though you can still see the wall. Uh-oh. Did you know you can make Carl's pickaxe disappear? If you've got a Gray on your team, have him throw his teleport super on the ground. Then, right as Carl throws his pickaxe, go through the teleporter, and boom! The pickaxe vanishes into thin air. Guess his pickaxe teleported straight into Minecraft. One of the luckiest parts of Brawl Stars has to be the star drops. During the legendary drops event, one player got insanely lucky, but in the weirdest way possible. Every time they opened a legendary drop, Supercell gave them everything related to Max, from Max herself to her hypercharge, and even 2 skins for her. At this point, you just have to become a Max main. It's the prophecy. But speaking of star drops, this player hit the jackpot. While opening his legendary drops from the event, he pulled 3 legendary skins, with the rarest drop only having a 1.73% chance of happening. What makes it even more interesting is that it's a brand new account. Yeah, you can't tell me that beginner's luck isn't real. This spike moment is both satisfying and lucky at the same time. While he was in a duo with Angelo and Brock, his teammate got eliminated. However, both of the enemies ended up with low HP. To avenge his teammates, he threw a random spike ball, and the spiraling spikes eliminated both of the enemies in one shot. Would it be this satisfying if I got poked by Spike? Nope. No, it would not. I think this is probably the chillest Terra Shadow out there. While there's a furious battle ongoing, Terra Shadow literally eliminated all enemies without being damaged. And after that, it simply walks away like nothing happened. Even a chill guy isn't as chill as this Shadow. But speaking of kudos, one idea suggests that they could be a reward in Star Road. And the more kudos you give out, the more rewards you'll get for doing it. It's sad Supercell decided to reject this idea, because if they did, we would get total world peace. Now, if Supercell wanted to add additional thrill and fun to their game, they should add more 5v5 game modes. Of course, modes like 5v5 Knockout have been absolutely hated by the community, but come on! You can't tell me that a 5v5 Hot Zone mode wouldn't get crazy. Just imagine having a giant circle that takes forever to fill up. There would be so many kills. Everyone knows getting credits can be super annoying. Imagine saving up for a future brawler coming next season, but then you get a star drop and get unexpected credits, forcing you to unlock the brawler you're currently working on instead. To fix this, players suggested that Supercell should add an option to choose where those credits go, whether to your current brawler, fame, or credit bank. Next up, we have a record for the account with the most gems. Now, some of you may think that this record is held by Lex, the guy who spent 5,000 on his account to get over 100,000 gems, but it's not. Actually, this record is held by Panther, the guy who won a golden ticket. After winning the tickets, he wished for 1,000,000 gems, and he got them. There are some pretty strong clubs in Brawl Stars, but only one can hold the record for the club with the most trophies, and at the moment, that club is Thunder. This club has over 3 million trophies, which means that every player in the club has over 100,000 trophies. Big brawlers are sometimes really hard to kill, but not for these guys, because they hold the record for the fastest time to kill a big brawler in the big game mode. They managed to do it in 12 seconds by working together and hitting absolute perfect combos. When I said that Wazim is a Brawl Stars world record settler, I really meant it. While trying to break and set as many world records as possible, Wazim decided to hop on a flight just to set the world record for the game played on the highest altitude. He apparently played this game at an altitude of 30,000 feet, which means that if you could play a game of Brawl Stars at the altitude of 31,000 feet, you'd break a record set by Wazim. Brawl Ball is a very simple game, yet somehow manages to be the buggiest thing on earth, because back in the day, players could use Sprout's wall to trap the ball in the net with a player, but it wouldn't be a goal. Even after the wall went away, the ball would still roll around in the net like nothing happened. Normally trying to run into your own net with a ball causes you to lose possession of it, but due to the entire net being walled off, it seems like the ball would just stay there. This game mode really needs a referee. Glitches in Brawl Stars are almost always tiny mistakes by the devs and are almost completely unnoticeable. However, this was not always the case, because in 2022, this unnamed player was playing Heist when his screen started to bug out with massive ghost items everywhere. It's unclear what caused this to happen, but it literally looked like developers were changing the game in real time. Stalling in Poison is one of the most famous late game techniques in the entire game. But what if I told you that there used to be a way to do this infinitely? Well, back in 2020, it appears a Brawl Stars YouTuber named Hawkeyes discovered a glitch that used the brief invincibility the launchpad used to give you in order to stay alive in the poison just long enough for his teammate to respawn. By doing this, they were able to stay in the poison forever, leaving the other team super confused. This next star power was so useless, it got removed just months after its release. Tin Can was a star power that gave Mr. P's Robo Porter's home base 3,000 plus more health. However, while that may sound like something overpowered, it was actually quite ineffective. All it really did was provide you with a bit more cover when pushing another player, and allowed you to play a bit more aggressive. But in most situations, this had almost zero impact on who would win a fight. If you're new to the game, there's no way you know about this one. The backup mine was a gadget that allowed Tick to dash forward and place a single mine. It was introduced in March 2020, but just 1 year later, it got removed. Since placing one mine didn't have much impact and dashing didn't give advantage to Tick's gameplay, most players simply switched to Last Hurrah, and Supercell decided that there was no reason to keep it in the game. This game mode was totally broken, and it drove people crazy. The objective of Lone Star was to kill the most enemies without dying. Everyone started with 2 stars and earned additional stars for killing enemies. If you died, you were reset back to 2 stars. At the end of the 2 minutes, the player with the most stars would win. While it was a fun game mode, it ended up being removed due to two main problems. The first was massive kill stealing issues that made the game less enjoyable, but the second problem was the high degree of luck involved in respawns, which made this game mode frustrating and inconsistent. Using Gene is a recipe for pure evil. Let me explain. Tell your friend you're up for some duo showdown, and when they accept the invite, start the match with you playing as Gene. Everything will seem normal for them, but when you're close together, use Gene's super to throw his hand and pull the tankiest brawler in the match towards you and your friend, and just watch how he demolishes both of you. Now that's a controller. Pro players use Gray for his amazing teleportation ability, but remember we're trying to be pro trollers over here. Gray's super lets him place portals around the map, and anyone on the same team can teleport through them. So if you want to get blocked by your best friend, simply get yourself into a terrible situation, something like this. Then all you have to do is activate the super in such a way that it teleports your friend right into the mess. This one is an absolute classic. When playing gem grab with your friends, pick a tank brawler with tons of health and then pick up every gem in the entire lobby, leaving just about none for your friends. Then when your team is winning, walk up to the enemy base and give them all of the gems. Doing this will cost you more than winning the game, but will rather cost you your entire friendship. Clutching up in Showdown is one of the best feelings ever, but it's even sweeter when you come up against a toxic emoter. This Shelly got chased down by Janet, who even emoted to rub it in. However, Shelly realizes that she had no choice to turn around and managed to absolutely two-tap her with her insane damage. There's a lesson to be learned here. Never be M. You miss all the shots you don't take, especially in Brawl Ball. This Colt was getting chased down by Mortis and decided to shoot the ball away as before he died. It might have been unintentional, but the ball bounced right off a pole and into the net, and he managed to secure a point for his team. I don't know about you guys, but I would be so angry if this happened to me. Now, in my glitches video, I mentioned a bug that gave brawlers the wrong star power, and although this wasn't intentionally added into the game, players actually really liked it in the beginning and thought it was kind of funny. However, what happened if you did manage to get Bull star power with Poco? You would actually be able to kill your own teammates. Now, to be fair, this only worked in friendly lobbies, so even when it was in the game, it didn't turn out to be a big deal. But just imagine how many griefers you'd get if you could do this on the ranked ladder. I can't even imagine. Modifying the game is one thing, but using third-party software to boost your win rate can guarantee you a ban. Even though it is uncommon due to Supercell's anti-cheat, some players still try to use software and bots to do this. But this can be super dangerous to try, as even if you really want to install one, just for fun, most hacks you see online will end up giving you a nasty virus and maybe even ban you from your own computer. My advice is, just get better at playing. There's one known rule among the Brawl Stars community: contact support if you want to get banned. And this saying is for good reason, because even though noobs think it will help, veterans will tell you that Brawl Stars has the worst support ever. Besides Supercell having some issues around the customer support system, many players get angry for unfairness of their issue and start to harass the support team by spamming them or even swearing. Maybe we should give the support team some more credit. Speaking of customer support, there's one other way to get banned through this questionable support system, and that's by providing incorrect information to the support team. This can lead to a ban, but the problem is players do this by accident since they don't know the detailed answers to support's complicated questions. Fortunately enough, most of these bans are just temporary. Teamers are the worst thing you can encounter in a showdown, but eliminating them, now that's a great feeling. This Otis was roaming through the map when he saw Shelly and Piper spamming emotes and spinning around. So he decided to save the day in the best way possible, killing Piper and then convincing Shelly to team with him. But when she finally came towards him, well, he killed her. Scammers get scammed. We all know power cubes add additional health to your brawler, but the most satisfying thing ever is when you get your HP to exactly 10,000. I mean, look how perfect that is. I don't know why, but for some reason, this feels like more HP than actually being max health. Am I just stupid? Getting a double kill is already satisfying enough, but what about getting 9 kills at the same time? These 9 ticks gathered together on the launcher and were launched all at the same time. Then, this Dynamite used his super at the same time as they were landing and exploded all 9 of his opponents, achieving probably one of the coolest, if not the only, non-oopal kill. But Balootic, isn't this staged? Who cares? Did you know you could finish Brawl Stars? Before rank 35, the trophy max for brawlers was 500, aka rank 20. And with fewer brawlers, players easily maxed them out and literally had nothing left to grind out in the game. Supercell responded to this by raising the max rank, but many players have still maxed out their accounts at rank 35. And some players like Pongdalong have even got individual brawlers over 3,000 trophies. My advice, maybe finish a shower instead. Everyone loves getting rewards from Trophy Road, but there's actually a sneaky punishment hidden inside of it. Because if you manage to hit a perfect round number of trophies, you'll notice something isn't quite right. Because the number under the reward card is actually misaligned by a few pixels. Yep, I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. 8-Bit's virus skin pin is a total mess. I mean, just take a look at this. The head is literally offset from the spider legs of its body, and it doesn't stop there. Furious Fang skin pin has its face shoved awkwardly to the right side. I wonder if an artist got fired for this. If you select Piper in the Brawlers menu, she'll instantly throw her umbrella over her shoulder, but this leads to a huge error. Because if you rotate her, you can see the umbrella literally clips into her ear. But this isn't the only example of this happening, because Pam's vacuum also clips into her leg, and Lola's fox gun goes right through her arm during its animation. And these aren't the only ones. Fix your game, Supercell. You can actually teleport 2 times instantly on a teleporter. Usually you can only teleport once on a portal, but with Charlie's super, you can teleport twice on maps with teleporters. Stand over the portal, and once you've been teleported, activate her super to teleport again. Now, if you teleport yourself into a messy situation, you can say adios. Otis disabled your moves? Well, don't worry, because Poco's here to save the day. If you're playing against Otis, make sure to use Poco with protective tunes equipped. Then, when you get hit with Silent Seabed, you can just activate the gadget and essentially remove his debuff. But that's not as crazy as trying to counter Mortis with Edgar. If you ever find yourself playing as Edgar and run into a Mortis, just pop your shield. That way, when Mortis tries to use his lifesteal super on you, he'll get no HP at all. I can't believe I'm helping Edgar main. What has my life come to? I hate seeing that red Wi-Fi icon pop up mid-game, only to get instantly wiped out by an enemy. Whether it's Supercell servers acting up or you paying Supercell's bills instead of your own, we've all been there and we hate it. And oh man, that Wi-Fi logo is always so thick. Getting kicked out of a club has to be the same as if you were kicked out of your own house. It's the worst when you join, carry the team in all special events, and then bam, you're just kicked out. And what's even more frustrating, it's usually for no reason or because someone wants to make room for a low-level friend or alt account. You know what? Next time, I'm just gonna bring my minion army I've been holding in the basement and raid their house. Speaking of clubs, owning one can be pure chaos, especially when you can't even change its name. This is something the community has been begging Supercell to fix for ages, but they are busy making pins and sprays. As a result, tons of old clubs are stuck with cringy names they can't change. Like my old club. I really should have thought it through before naming it that. Scrolling all those Brawl Stars memes have given us all ADHD, and it's no wonder we hate waiting and matchmaking. It is the most frustrating thing ever. But here's the thing. Supercell could have at least added some kind of pre-match minigame, like cave training or something, just to, you know, warm up our fingers while we wait. I can't wait anymore. Give me something. Everyone knows Supercell needs money to keep the game going, but why do they have to make every new brawler overpowered at launch? That's exactly what happened with Kit, Melody, and so many others. But the most frustrating part, the moment you finally collect enough credits to unlock that new brawler, bam, it gets nerfed. And let's be real here, Hank seriously needs a nerf. He is way too OP. Supercell was quite famous for refusing to allow to mute emotes back in the day, and they used to argue that expressing yourself was an important part of the game, until they eventually did add the mute button back into the game. At least I don't have to see thumbs down every time I die to an Edgar anymore. What if you loaded up Brawl Stars only to see your main has been removed? Well, that's what Ash mains woke up to during this bug. Before, in duels, if you had a Larry and an Ash on your team, you just straight up crashed the game. And once you did, all you had to do was wait and collect free trophies. Pretty crazy, right? And while we're on the topic of brawlers being removed, Willow is another brawler Supercell had to remove for a similar reason. Her super was just crashing everyone's game. It's pretty simple why Supercell had to remove that bug as soon as possible. Usually when you find a glitch, you want to use it to your advantage, but this bug literally just sucked. because during the Godzilla update, you could swap brawlers with your teammates after the draft ended that allowed you to play with the brawlers below the level 9 power level. So you could have level 1 brawlers on your team. You might be wondering what the point of this bug even was, but the thing was people were just so used to using it to troll and ruin games. So Supercell had to fix it. If you love El Primo as much as I do, then never buy the Vision gear. It's probably the worst gear you could get for a tank brawler, and honestly, it's just a bad gear overall. Like, why would I need to see a bigger radius in bushes? Supercell had a big vision for the Vision gear. Can't get it? Brawl Stars players have a way to signal if you're a bad player. If a teammate came all the way to spawn to shoot you in 3v3, it probably means they're mad at you and want you to leave the match. How about you use your ammo on the enemies instead? Getting a new legendary skin is awesome, but there's an unwritten rule. You have to spin it around in the lobby. It is the best way to check out all the details, and honestly, it's just fun to do. Bonus points if you spin your friend's brawler too. If you're an OG player, you probably keep your controls unlocked. Back when the game launched, that was the only option, and a lot of players stuck with it to keep that classic Brawl Stars tradition. But some players argue that pro players use locked movement. If you just found $100 on the ground, hold up before you blow it all on gems. Gem packs are actually the worst deal you can get, and you should never spend on them. Instead, maybe wait for special offers in the shop, or honestly, just go get the Brawl Pass. I mean, I gotta clear my gem debt first anyways, so... Everyone hates Mortis. I can't even remember a game recently where I haven't died to a Mortis. The thing with Brawl Stars is that sometimes characters are too OP, like Rosa on release or Barley before they changed his super. But as you'll know, the best players always find a way to counter the best characters. So if the entire community is complaining about a character you're having no trouble with, pat yourself on the back. When you get a kill in Showdown, you may feel the need to celebrate, especially if you've just clutched on low health or killed a player with much more power than you. But if you feel like taking your toxic celebration a bit further and rubbing some extra salt in the wound, spam that thumbs down button too, and your opponents will be raging. Randoms make me rage all the time, but if Brawl Stars makes you lose your cool too much, that's a sign you're getting way too emotional. The best players in Brawl Stars know how to take a deep breath and not get tilted, so they can focus on winning the match at hand. I get it, that Shelly running around in Brawl Ball dying 1,000 times can get you angry, but just breathe. It's all gonna be okay. Never mind! Come here, you mother. When I play Nita, I can never tell where that stupid bear is going. But did you know there's actually a way to check where the bear is with your gadget button? Well, sort of. Sometimes a pet might run away too far from you, but all you need to do is tap the gadget button to see if it's still alive. Everyone strives to get legendary brawlers, but does that mean higher rarity equals stronger brawlers? While other games would follow that sense, Brawl Stars actually focus on getting unique gameplay with higher rarity brawlers. The only exceptions are new brawlers that come out, as they will be OP as usual. But speaking of rarities, back in the day we had a special rarity called Chromatic, and many players thought it was a better legendary since it was similar to some kind of rainbow rarity. But that's way far from reality. Chromatic rarity was essentially a special category where brawlers drop chance would increase over time, meaning ones from previous seasons were easier to unlock from chests. However, when they removed chromatic rarity, brawlers got different rarities assigned to them. Fang and Buster actually have swapped hitboxes. As we know, Fang is an assassin and he somehow has the tank-sized hitbox, while Buster, who's supposed to be a tank, is stuck with a regular one. Looks like someone at Supercell might have swapped a few things around when making them. Bull isn't using all of his holes. Pause. Let me explain. His attack is called double barrel, but if you look closely, he's literally holding a triple barrel shotgun. Just imagine the damage he could do if he used all 3 barrels. This might actually mean Bull's going easy on other brawlers. I bet you forgot about the top dog modifier in Showdown. It added an ultimate new rule. There is no automatic health regen. The only way to heal was by playing a healing brawler or by taking out an enemy and grabbing the hot dog they dropped. However, the thing that you probably missed is if you won, instead of seeing you are the winner, it would say you are the wiener. So technically, you weren't the top dog. You were a hot dog. When you start a match in Brawl Ball, did you know the order of your icons actually determines where you'll spawn? If your icon is on the right, you'll spawn on the right side. However, this only applies to the first spawn and after scoring a goal. Ever wondered why Dynamite has a canary under his hat? Well, there's actually a pretty dark backstory to it. Miners used to carry canaries with them to detect carbon monoxide levels, and if the bird fainted or worse, it meant danger was near. So yeah, this poor canary might not be Dynamite's best friend after all. When Kenji dropped, players couldn't wait to test his skills, and turns out, he's pretty insane. Not only can he slice up sushi, but his super can actually hit brawlers through walls. And the best part is that he can even attack brawlers on water. No more water camping for Angelo. Speaking of Kenji, can he actually counter Cordelius? Well, if you're facing off with Cordelius, just wait for him to pull out his super. Right when he's about to trap you, use your super, and you'll dodge his attack and take him out. But if he gets you before you can react, yeah, it's over.
Let me tell you something! Let me tell you something!
Max's hypercharge is ridiculously fast. So fast that he should be faster than a ball. Let's jump into a match, activate her hypercharge and super, and pass the ball. Max is not just as fast as the ball. She is so insanely fast that she passes the ball to herself. You can literally see her outrunning it. Myth confirmed. Jean can pull Jesse's turret? So there's Jesse's turret, and now I'll activate Jean's super, and voila! It really worked. Myth is confirmed. However, this is without a doubt a fantastic way to get yourself killed. Did you know you can use Mastery credits as a sneaky way to buy newly released brawlers? Master League rewards give you credits to unlock brawlers, but don't claim them right away. If you're not interested in the current choices, save those credits as a backup. When a new brawler drops, Supercell gives you about 14 days to unlock them earlier, no matter where you are on the Star Road. So after the brawler is released, just grab those saved credits and unlock them instantly. This is especially useful if you've already maxed out the Star Road and are stuck grinding fame, because to be honest, fame sucks. If you're bad with certain brawlers, here's a tip. Don't think about teaming. Teaming in solo showdown is one of the worst things you can do, and it ruins the experience for everyone. Plus, it's only a matter of time before other players start hating you and backstabbing you anyways. There's a reason duo showdown exists, so maybe try that instead and stop ruining everyone's day. If you want to maximize your progress in Brawl Stars, then make sure to never skip your daily quests. These are separate from weekly quests and give you an extra 400 XP for tasks that are super easy to complete. To put it into perspective, with a 28-day season, that's an extra 11,200 XP just waiting for you. Everyone hates token doublers. They barely add any value and just end up wasting your precious star drop rewards. So some players suggested deleting them altogether. However, Supercell rejected this idea real quick. If Supercell got paid in token doublers, maybe they'd reconsider. This might be the wildest idea yet. Voice chat in Brawl Stars. Imagine hopping into a match, ready to chat with your teammates, or, you know, get blasted by someone's ear-splitting mic. Yeah, I'd say they've got a pretty solid reason for keeping this feature out of the game. There is no reason for draws to exist. Players have been begging Supercell to either make them harder to occur or remove them entirely. In other Supercell games like Clash Royale, after overtime, hitting a draw is practically impossible, with a 0.01% chance of it happening. So why not make Brawl Stars the same? I'll tell you why. Because that would require the devs to use logic. The absolute worst thing you can do to a Gus main? Steal his ghost. And guess what? That's exactly what you're going to do. When Gus throws his balloon and it drops a ghost pickup for healing, just swoop in and snag it for yourself. Heal up while he watches in disbelief, then brace yourself for a flood of 1,000 thumbs down emotes. Here's how you can trap your friends in Showdown using only Brock. First, pick Brock and start a match with your friend. They'll think it's just a regular game, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Charge up your super and aim it at a corner, then use your gadget right after firing to cancel the full super, so it only breaks one tile of the wall. Now, just wait for your teammate to respawn, jump into that single broken tile using your gadget, and voila, they are completely stuck. Bonus points if you spin and spam pins to rub it in. Speaking of trapping your teammates, Dynamite can pull off a similar but way better trick. On a map with large wall structures, you can throw his super to break a bunch of the tiles inside. Then, when your teammate respawns, just jump into the broken tile with your star power equipped, trapping them all over again. Now they're stuck, and somehow you're still the most useless teammate. Get it? Because Dynamite sucks. If your friend is a toxic hit main, here's the perfect way to teach him a lesson. When they use their super to heal you in a showdown and end up stuck on top of you, just walk straight into the danger zone. And now you've both lost the match. You know that feeling when Colette runs over you mid-battle? Yeah, I feel like I just encountered A-Train. Well, there is a way to completely counter this. Next time you're up against Colette, pick Fang. And when she tries to pull off her super, Fang can simply use his Corn Fu gadget to stun her in the middle of attack. Did you know there's a hidden Easter egg in Eve's ship? If you go to the Brawler menu and tilt her head around just right, you'll spot pictures of her kids hanging inside. This might mean Eve is a loving, caring mom, or maybe not. This Dynamite was just trying to save his teammate Bo in the hot zone, but with Rosa and Kenji closing in, things weren't looking too good. Bo went down, leaving Dynamite alone against both of them. An impossible situation, right? But what happened next was the luckiest clutch ever. In a panic, Dynamite threw his super straight into the wall, but at the exact same moment, Rosa and Kenji rushed in for the easy win, only to get absolutely obliterated. Now that's bombastic. Everyone knows Miko can't attack on water, and this Juju just had enough luck to be in a 1v1 on a map with water. As Miko desperately tried to reach Juju, who casually walked on water, she trolled him with sprays and kept running until the zone finished him off. It's safe to say Miko's biggest enemy is water, probably why he threw his phone into the lake after the match. Did you know Supercell rejected tons of Brawl Stars logo designs before picking the one we all know today? If you've ever seen the official Brawl Stars artwork book, there's a whole page showcasing these scrapped ideas, and surprisingly, they all look almost identical. Honestly, these rejected logos might not have made it into the game, but they look cool as stickers. Did you know Brawl Stars was almost called Project Laser? That's right. Originally, it was going to be a futuristic, space-themed game instead of the Wild West-inspired one we know today. The concept included rockets and sci-fi pickups, and some of these assets were even left in the game files by accident. While the idea of Project Laser sounds pretty cool, it's hard to imagine Brawl Stars without its iconic Western vibe. Now here we have a little bit of a weird record, but technically it's still a record, right? A player named ZackAttack391 holds the record for the longest last online court. Last year, one guy posted a Reddit post about this player not being online for 5.5 years. And when we do this math, player ZackAttack391 was last online over 7 years ago. It turned out that the guy who posted this Reddit post is actually the Zack Attack, but that was his alt account. He stated how he was super excited for Brawl Stars when it first launched in beta in 2017, but he lost access to that account and created a new one. Wazim is the guy who holds the record for breaking the most Brawl Stars records, and one of his really intriguing records was the one for the longest kill. He managed to send a bell shot across the whole map, and it looks so cool. To this day, the record for the longest time alive in a solo showdown is amongst the hardest records to break. There are many controversies going around about this record, but in my opinion, Orange Juice Gaming is holding this record at over 10 minutes long. I doubt anyone will ever be able to break that. Now here we have a record for the largest amount of health in one game. This record goes to Crown-O-Matic, a guy who used an effective strategy of getting as many kills and using Rough Second Gadget. This strategy got him to break a world record by getting 93,000 HP and breaking one of Wazim's records. Again, this is one of the most records that are extremely hard to break because of how much planning and thinking you need to do. Sometimes Carl's single ammo mechanic just feels super slow. Why can't he just get 3 shots like almost everyone else has? Well, with the help of glitches, he can, or at least he could before this got patched out. By shooting his pickaxe out on a teleporter and teleporting away before it came back, Carl used to just reload a new one even while the original one is still coming back. After doing this a few times, you could have up to about 3 pickaxes, but unfortunately, they would destroy themselves if you weren't firing constantly. Ever felt like the boss fight is just too hard on the later difficulties? Wouldn't everything be so much easier if the boss just didn't chase you down as fast? Well, how about him not chasing you down at all? Back in 2020, when El Primo's suplex gadget was brand new, it would actually stun the boss in boss fight permanently after just one use. This absolutely overpowered strategy allowed players to make it to crazy difficulties by abusing this glitch like insane 15 or even higher. Sadly, this was patched out very quickly as it was just way too strong. Back in 2023, when bling was first added to the game, the developers accidentally miscoded the spray purchase button to look empty. For a very short time, players were able to buy any spray in the shop that they wanted for what appeared to be 0 bling, leading to many players buying tons and tons of sprays under the impression that they were free. However, the glitch was only visual, as it turned out that the sprays were actually being paid for with gems. Most players know that Brawl Stars used to be vertical during its beta release, but this was changed in early 2018, around 9 months before the game's global release. However, there was still a way to make your game vertical. Well, sort of. As for whatever reason, it seems turning certain phones vertically will cause the game to glitch out and show you the entire map. But in most cases, this unfair advantage will disappear the second you queue into a game. Elixir is a resource that exists in Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, but believe it or not, it used to be in Brawl Stars too. Before PowerPoints were introduced, Elixir was used for upgrading brawlers. And when upgrading with Elixir, you had the option to upgrade brawlers' health, damage, or super attack. But did you know Supercell actually broke its company law for this next feature? Ads in Brawl Stars used to double coins, mostly promoting other Supercell games. They were removed to comply with Supercell's policies, yet the game still saw healthy profits. Could this be considered pay to win? Everyone has woken up at least once to find their entire club was kicked by a random vice president. So why not take things into your own hands and do it yourself? This will make all of your friends hate you, and you'll probably never hear from them again. But hey, at least you'll finally get your revenge for all of those years of being kicked in Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. For this one, you'll need another friend to help you troll, but believe me, it's so worth it. In Brawl Ball, there are certain maps with destroyable objects on it in which you can use to get the ball stuck. To pull this off, you'll need Jackie and any brawler that can destroy objects. I recommend Brock. When you're in a match, have your friend destroy the boxes and then move the ball into that area. Next, using Jackie's rebuild gadget, repair the area and voila! The ball is completely stuck, leaving everyone in the game just standing there. This may look like a simple match throwing troll, but I promise it's super effective. Purposely losing a match with El Primo deserves its own place on the list. Just throw yourself around with El Primo's super and spin around. When friends ask you, what are you doing? Just scream, El Primo! And believe me, this will frustrate them a lot. Every once in a while, you see players that are just so unlucky, you actually feel sorry for them, such as this Piper who just wanted to power up in Showdown and gain a level, but after she destroyed the box, the gem bounced across the river so she couldn't pick it up. If only she knew how to swim. Sometimes you need to be a hero to save your game. This Primo was busy dishing out some damage and was about to secure a kill, but quickly realized the goal was in trouble as Sprout had found its way behind him. Some quick thinking from Primo allowed him to run back and use his super to block the goal at the last possible second, preventing his team from going 1-0 down. Have you ever seen Primo's super used like that? This was some insanely clever use of the overtime mechanic. In the dying seconds of this Brawl Ball match, this Frank hit a massive 3-man stun to set his team up for 2 easy kills. After that, he crucially manages to survive with another supercharge and get his team the overtime victory. If you've ever played with a really bad Edgar, you've probably been tempted to find out their IP, home address, credit card number. Okay, that's a bit too far. Even though they're trash, asking for personal information is against Supercell's rules, meaning you're definitely getting banned. So unless you want to live in a world where he's allowed to play and you're not, just keep your mouth shut. In the early days of Map Maker, players created what seemed like hacked maps, but they were actually just regular maps with altered game files. This was also possible during the Godzilla event, where players created maps while mutations existed, resulting in players having some abilities when in reality, they really shouldn't. If you ever get banned in Clash Royale or Heyday, there's a chance you might get banned in Brawl Stars as well. This is Supercell's way of protecting their whole platform so evil players don't abuse every possible game they made. Although this rule isn't always enforced, it's still a possibility, so it's best to keep your hands on one ban at a time. But chances are you'll probably smash your phone before getting banned on Clash Royale. What's even better than a satisfying kill is a satisfying kill against a pro player. The match was tied and Trevor was expecting it to go into overtime, but as he let his guard down, Pyra managed to pull off this amazing trick shot, bypassing everyone and scoring an insane goal. I mean, just look at his reaction. I would literally quit the game forever if this happened to me. Playing with randoms usually leaves you with less trophies than you started with, but sometimes you can encounter your soulmate. And no, I don't mean the love of your life. Sorry, I mean a situation like this where 2 Sprouts randomly met in a big game. One Sprout blocked the right side and the other Sprout blocked the left side, completely trapping the boss player and leaving him open to tons of damage. I think it's safe to say they became best friends after this. If you're addicted to receiving rewards, then this is for you. Because while new weekly challenge drops are awesome, what's even better is realizing you can do all of these challenges without going to the lobby. Obviously, this is pretty common to do, but if you refuse to go into the lobby until all of the challenges are done, you'll witness one of the most beautiful sights ever, as when you return to the lobby, you will get infinite XP. If we're talking about speed, OG Mortis had to be the fastest brawler ever. His dash used to be just as long as his current star power, Coiled Snake, but at the time, he didn't have to wait for his bar to be fully filled. What's even crazier is he didn't even have one at all, and you could just dash whenever you felt like it. This made him completely unfair in every Brawl Ball match. They should should have just removed him from the game. Do you remember these bumpers in Brawl Ball? They were introduced in the stunt show season and bounced the ball a ton, making for some tricky players. Some players use them to get the ball stuck, while others discovered that cacti shared the same code as bumpers, bypassing map makers' restrictions. This led to maps where the ball would bounce endlessly. Supercell eventually fixed this, but it makes me wonder, are cacti bouncy? No, they are definitely not. Here's a fun little design error that actually shows how Gale's ability works. If you pick Gale in the brawler menu and head into the training grounds, you'll notice something cool. The stun from his blustery blow super gets calculated the moment the super connects with an enemy, not when it hits the wall. So even if a robot doesn't end up slamming into the wall, it will still get stunned as long as it would have hit the wall. We all love upgrading our brawlers, but I'm about to ruin that forever. If you head over to the brawler section and take a close look, you'll notice something odd. The font for gold is slightly bigger than the one for the PowerPoints. So does this mean Supercell values gold more than PowerPoints? But speaking of RT's ability, here's a way to make it a total nightmare for the enemy team and bounty. We all know your bounty level is displayed by how many stars you've got, but here's the crazy part. If RT marks you and you happen to self-destruct while carrying a lot of stars, your team will get the points instead of the enemy. And this is actually super useful. If your pet ever gets hurt, take them to Gary the vet. No, seriously, did you know that Gray, with his new perspective ability, can heal brawlers, pets, and even turrets? For example, if you send Nita's pet Bruce through one of these portals or place a turret on it, it'll heal up instantly. Finally, I can heal my Edgar. But Gray isn't the only one who can pull this off. Barry can do it too. With Barry, all you need to do is use your super and spin over turrets or pets to heal them. When we talk about flying, the first brawler that comes to mind is Janet. But believe it or not, every brawler can fly with the help of a Willow. Get yourself into a custom map with a friend and tell them to stand on a jump pad. But before they take off, shoot them. Then, while mid-air, use Willow's stun gadget and voila, they're flying. Your friend will be able to take damage and it will reset when they move. Now that's what I call airtime. Teamers in Showdown have to be the worst thing ever. Just imagine entering a match, already bracing yourself to deal with an Edgar, but instead of one, now there are two of them, and they're teaming up against you. Honestly, they should just hop into Duo Showdown and send friend requests if they really want to team up. Now, instead of searching for one IP address, I must find two. If there was a competition for the worst matchmaking, then Brawl Stars would have been the first. It sucks, and to be honest, it wouldn't be the first time I've ended up with a teammate who's way lower in level facing off against a maxed out enemy team. And this becomes even more frustrating in ranked mode. Some players literally can't climb back to their previous ranks because of bad matchmaking. They probably know that we're pros, so they flagged us as carries. Thank you, Supercell. But that's not as crazy as the cost of maxing out your account. Pay to win has become a huge issue in Brawl Stars over the years, but if you've ever wondered how much it would cost to unlock all cosmetics and max out all of your brawlers, well, you'll be shocked. We're talking a whopping $12,000. No joke, with that kind of cash, you could buy a used car and still have enough left over to buy a ton of gems. I would call that macro transactions instead of micro transactions. Get it? Like macro equals big. Okay, that's enough. Do you remember mutations? I have to give Supercell some credit here. The City Smash mode was quite fun, but the mutations mechanic was so broken. And for a while, it made the game nearly unplayable. Brawlers being able to bounce their projectiles infinitely, Shelly being able to shoot twice in one shot. Need I say more? The Krusty Krab power-ups had so many exploits for the first week. One massive one was an exploit with Kit, where if you and another player had the Kelp Shake, you could basically stack up infinite power cubes with your super. Sometimes you'd manage to stack up as many as 40 before you even started fighting. In ranked, you always get to see the map and mode before the match starts, and if it's hot zone or heist, someone has to pick a thrower. These modes are literally made for thrower brawlers, and it makes a huge difference if you or a teammate pick someone like Tick or Barley, because if you don't, the enemy team definitely will, and now you're stuck playing against a brawler you can't ultimately reach. If you're jumping into a ranked match, don't use it as a chance to test out that new brawler you just got. In ranked, it's all about winning. So if you see your teammate picking their maxed out brawler with a hypercharge and you pick out a level 4 brawler you're excited to try, you're just asking for trouble, and you'll probably lose the match. Casual modes exist for a reason, okay? Wow, what a nice day. I hope nothing ruins it. Oh, great. If you're an Edgar main, players will probably see you as the biggest noob out there. Nobody likes Edgar. And if you eliminated me with him, I bet your address has shown up in my Google search history a few times already. Everyone hates that one player that goes AFK. Seriously, being AFK for even 2 seconds in a 3v3 match can be the reason your team loses. So just don't do it. But Balootic, I'm playing on my phone. I can't be away from the keyboard. When daily rewards reset, you've got to do this. The moment you're in, check for new quests, then head to the game mode selection screen and tap like crazy to reveal all those modes and grab some XP. I love pressing buttons. Have you ever wanted to become a pro by simply pressing a button? Well, you can actually do that, sort of. You see, auto aim is always turned on automatically when you make a new Brawl Stars account, but when you switch it off and train your aim on your brawlers, you'll find yourself hitting way more shots and doing way more damage. Finally, I can get to rank 35. Everyone has a brawler they tried for the first time and fell totally in love with. But what most players don't do is learn everything there is to know about their new favorite brawler. While learning all the abilities and maps to use it on is good, you can take this to a step further by learning how they compare to other brawlers in the game and how to counter all of them, especially Edgar. How good are you at Showdown? Me personally, I only win every game. Not everyone can play Showdown and find themselves winning almost every single game, but the very best Brawl Stars players know they're good enough to win on their own in Showdown consistently, and they push trophies fastest in the entire community. But of course, that is hard, which is why I stick to pushing my trophies in modes like Brawl Ball with a team instead. Scoring in Brawl Ball is how you win the game, but that doesn't mean you should only focus on scoring as fast as possible. When you have the ball in the mode, you can't attack, and that means you're a sitting duck for enemies to kill you without any threat. Focus on gaining map control before you start going for goals, and punish enemies who are too eager on getting the ball through your spawn. Brawl Stars is all about teamwork, which is why just every pro player uses voice comms when they play their matches. Usually this will be on Discord, but some pros use TeamSpeak or other apps too, so that they can call targets, cooldowns, tactics, and so much more. I once even caught my friend using FaceTime for comms. Try this in your next game of Brawl Stars. Super stacking is something only the best of the best can do correctly in Brawl Stars. Super stacking is when you use a character like Mortis or Frank that can rapidly build up supers and use them basically right after each other. If you're patient enough, you can get a super stack going that completely decimates the entire team practically by yourself. You probably remember the old theory of Colt's family. By looking at his hair, we could see similarities between him and Pam, and many players have just assumed Pam is Colt's mom. At the time, we didn't know much about it, and Brawl Stars didn't even think about making any lore. But later, it was confirmed that Pam is actually Jesse's mom, and the similarities here make way more sense. Now, does that also make Colt Jesse's brother? Turns out the answer is no, as in the lore, Colt doesn't have any family and is just a regular sheriff with 2 guns. Willow's mind control takes control over any brawler you unleash the attack on. This ability should in theory make you gain all buffs that brawler had before you attack, but this doesn't actually apply to all brawlers. For example, if you mind controlled Tara with her psychic enhancer gadget activated, you would probably encounter a weird bug where you would see through bushes but you couldn't see any enemies in them. If you're a normal person, then you've played Gus like twice in your life. What you probably missed, however, is that Gus can actually shoot over water areas. His balloons, which are flying, can cross the water as well. Believing in free legendary star drops would get you ultimately trolled. If you played with randoms or your friends, you should have encountered players with legend name tags. This was due to a trend back in the day where YouTubers posted a way to always get legendary star drops by typing legend in front of their name. After that, players had to pay gems to change their name since they wasted their free one on a troll. Back in the day, before we got Star Road, brawlers were possible to get by gaining a certain amount of trophies. However, while everyone knew that, most players thought the brawlers inside the trophy road reset every season. But this was totally wrong, as it was the same every single time. So much for originality. If you've been stuck as Shelly since the beginning of your Brawl Stars career, then you must have thought that all brawler supers were just enhanced main attacks. Well, actually, the truth is you have a super ability called being under a rock. 90% of brawlers have different supers, like for example, Hank, which has weaker ability than his normal attack. Too OP, nerf Hank. Your credit card has probably been pained by gem packs many times, but did you know packs actually used to have names? Back in the OG days, gem packs had cool names like Bag of Gems or Vault of Gems. Eventually, they switched it to just show the gem amounts. And here's the wild part. At one point, some packs even showed the wrong amounts, like the 2000 gems pack that said it only gave 1,850. Which one is it, Supercell? In the Angels vs. Demons update, there's a hidden spike Easter egg. When you open the game mode menu, you'll see a contests option that looks like a book. However, when you do click on it, the book opens only showing the right page. But if you slide past the limit, you will catch a glimpse of the left side, and there's a little spike icon in the corner and some notes which say, "The end is near." Maybe this was foreshadowing Spike's revenge arc, but that's not as nearly crazy as the inspiration for Mortis's design. When players asked Supercell what he was based on, everyone expected something like Dracula or a classic vampire, but his real inspiration is actually the legendary WWE wrestler, The Undertaker. Unfortunately, Mortis isn't nearly as terrifying. Everyone loves Otis. He's one of those rare brawlers with zero haters. Well, almost zero. But did you know his little starfish buddy actually has a name? Yup, it's Syl. If you read the description of Otis's super, you'll see that he throws Syl to silence enemy attacks. Kinda funny, right? Syl does all of the hard work, but Otis still gets all the credit. Brace yourself because this might just be the best thing in Brawl Stars. If you grab the SpongeBob skin and flip it over, you will find, no, not the legendary claim 1 million gems button, but something even better. SpongeBob's butt. Honestly, when I saw it, it was like hitting the jackpot. Who needs infinite gems when you've got this masterpiece? Here's a wild theory that's actually kind of creepy. If you use the angry pin with one of the animal trio brawlers, like Nita, you'll notice the smoke isn't coming from their noses, it's coming from their animal hats. So does that mean these costumes are actually alive? Don't worry, I'll rescue you. Never mind. Is Gust actually a ghost? Well, nobody really knows, but one thing's clear. He's definitely got ghostly friends. He can even turn defeated brawlers into ghosts. But can he actually take out brawlers in one shot with them? If you somehow manage to stack all his ghosts in one spot, and then lure a high HP brawler like Frank to that position, and activate his Cookie Popper gadget, Gus can actually take Frank down in a single blow. Now that's a Halloween trick I'm keeping up my sleeve. Some players think Buster's super is unstoppable, but what happens if you introduce a jump pad? First, activate Buster's super, then hop into a jump pad. As soon as you're launched, his super actually gets cancelled mid-air. Suddenly, it's not as unstoppable as players thought. I guess you could call that a blockbuster, or a buster block. Have you ever wondered what the maximum number of gems you can collect in Gem Grab is? Well, it should be 25 gems according to calculations, and let's enter the game to bust this theory. So, I hopped into a match with a friend to see how many gems I could grab. After a few minutes of collecting, I hit the cap, 25 gems. And just like that, the game ended. Can RT's gadget damage Lily or Cordelia's inside the Shadow Realm? Everyone knows RT's gadget sticks to players and can be triggered from any distance. So, I stuck the gadget to Lily, let her enter the dimension, and then tried activating it, but nothing happens. It doesn't even let me press the button. So yeah, this myth is officially busted. Buster can deflect many attacks, but can he go against Gale's Twister? With Buster, all we have to do is activate his super over Gale's Twister, and Buster actually keeps walking unfazed until his super runs out, and then he gets damaged. This one's true, but while we're talking about upgrades, here's a tip. Don't waste your coins on the vision gear for close range brawlers. Why? Well, it only reveals enemies in bushes for 2 seconds after you hit them. And if you're out of range, it's pretty much useless. Plus, with better options like this shield or health regen gears, which actually help you survive longer, vision gear feels like a wasted slot. Honestly, if you're that desperate to mess with bush campers, just pick Bo because he already sees 150% more in bushes with his circling eagle star power. We all know rough players struggle to share their buff supers. However, if you're the one playing rough with hypercharge and feeling a little selfish, avoid this. Most players use hypercharge, throw their super, and instantly grab the buff. But that's a big mistake. Instead, wait for your hypercharge to run out before picking up the buff. Why? Because it'll instantly refill your hypercharge bar, letting you infinitely cycle it. At least until your teammate swoops in and steals it. Everyone knows Amber has an ammo bar that drains as she attacks. But here's the trick. Don't bother manually aiming with her, because every time she fires a single flame projectile, her auto aim resets, meaning it's actually the most accurate auto aim in the entire game. So next time you're playing Amber, just hold that button and watch your enemies burn. This almost feels cruel. If you've ever played seasonal games like Subway Surfers, you've probably seen the option to change the music to tracks from previous seasons. Well, I think Brawl Stars should have this feature too. With so many seasons and unique soundtracks, it would be amazing to relieve the vibe of older updates. just what I've been missing. While some people wish for third-person Brawl Stars, other players beg for the PC and console version of the game. Just imagine playing with a joystick. Unstoppable, right? Supercell already somewhat did this for Clash Royale and Clash of Clans, making them available for PC. Of course, there are emulators which let you play Brawl Stars on PC, but some people say those have a high chance of getting you banned. And if you're hoping that they'll add this feature to Brawl Stars, don't get too excited, because this feature may never happen. And for good reason. If I asked you about the most annoying pin, you'd probably say it's the thumbs down or clown emoji. But nope, there's one that's even worse. The baby shark pin. Why? Because every time you use it, it plays a small part of the baby shark song. And it's super annoying. So, if you're a troll, just spam this pin at your friends until they can't take it anymore. Oh, what? You think you can just mute pins? Well, what if I place a pin outside your window? What if you want to troll your friends so bad that you end up behind bars? Just steal their device. Then, log into their account with your Supercell ID and buy 1 million gems using their money. Congrats! Now you're being investigated for financial fraud, and your friend's house has been seized by the bank. Okay, feel free to do any other fact in this video. Just, don't do this one. Wait! I was joking! Want to disappear in front of your friend like his dad did? Pick Lily. When the 1v1 match starts and your friend thinks they've got the upper hand, just use Lily's teleport to go to her dimension and dodge every bit of damage your friends throw at you. Not only does Lily bend dimensions, but she can make your friend bend their phone in half. Speaking of 1v1s, here's a sneaky way to make your friend's brawler completely useless. When setting up a friendly battle, pick a map from Map Maker that's 99% water. Then choose a water walking brawler. While you roam freely, your friend will be stuck in one spot, completely helpless. But if you want them to get really mad after you win, ask if they want a rematch. This Meeple troll will make players go mad. Because Meeple is a new brawler whose super lets you place a wall anywhere you want, just drop his wall cage on your friend to trap them completely. It's so effective. It might even outdo the classic Sprout trap. Speaking of Meeple's trap, did you know there's actually a way to use his gadget infinitely? All you need is a friend playing Doug to revive you after you die, and voila! You can now throw Meeple's gadget as many times as you want. After trolling your enemies for a while, why not turn the tables and troll your friends? Just trap them with your walls and keep them stuck forever. Try disabling your friends' main brawler. If you know their favorite brawler, just ban it during the banning phase. Of course, you need to be at least diamond rank to pull this off, so you'll have to get a little bit of skill. But if you don't know their main brawler, you can just ban the brawler they pre-picked in the menu. Now they'll be stuck with a brawler they hate and will probably boil their phone in a pot. Janet's hypercharge lets you fully control her movements while flying through the air, so let's use this to become the most useless player in history. Just charge her super and hypercharge in battle, then fly up and hover in one spot, doing absolutely nothing. If your friends ask why you're slacking, just tell them the autopilot turned off. Everyone knows Buzz is a lifeguard, but does that make him able to attack enemies on water? Well, most of you probably thought that he can't attack enemies on water as his range is too short for it. However, if you have his super fully charged, you can use it on enemies that are hovering over water and completely stun them. Of course, after you've stunned them, you'll be teleported to land, so make sure you have your friend pick a ranged brawler to finish them off. If you're playing Leon, don't be scared of Otis. If he hits you with his mute super while you're invisible and using your healing star power, guess what? You'll stay invisible and keep healing. Now that's overpowered. Have you ever faced an unstoppable enemy team in Brawl Ball? Well, this blue team did, and they carried the ball all the way to the enemy goal. But just as they were about to score, the entire enemy team was on the goal to block them. To make things worse, Gale dropped his tornado right on top of the ball, making it impossible for enemies to grab it. It's moments like these that make you feel like Supercell secretly placed an invisible wall on the enemy team. Curse you, Supercell. Everyone hates Angelos that camp on water, but this one might be an exception as he pulled off the luckiest clutch ever. It starts with Edgar jumping on Leon, only to get eliminated instantly by this pro Leon. Then Angelo, hovering on water, realizes he's in big trouble as a hypercharged Leon starts chasing him in a 1v1. Angelo lands a hit while Leon is invisible and jumps just in time. And as Leon thinks he's about to get an easy win, Angelo pulls off the luckiest snipe with 1 HP left, clutching the battle in style. We could say Leon probably hates Angelo now too, but that's not as crazy as this Piper clutch. In this lucky moment, Piper's being chased by her ultimate counter, Mortis. And just as things look hopeless for Piper, she uses her super to escape. Mortis, thinking she's defenseless after landing, moves in for the final blow, only to get completely obliterated by Stu, who takes him out instead. Piper didn't even have to lift a finger, and it made Mortis look like a total noob. Back in the day, players discovered a super unique scrapped brawler hidden in the game files, Bone Thrower Pet. At first, it might seem just like another Nita clone, but this brawler had a completely unique mechanic. Instead of a pet that fights on its own, Bone Thrower Pet would just use bones to lure its pet toward enemies, making it way more strategic. But for some reason, Supercell completely scrapped the idea. Maybe because Poco would always be his target. Get it? Because he's made out of bones? Danny has to hate Supercell, because at the time of upcoming Brawlies, Supercell decided to release his own Danny Piper skin. After designing the skin, along with Paula Jessie, Supercell simply decided to never give it out to players and scrapped it fully. However, traces of these skins data were found in the Chinese version of Brawl Stars. Yeah, you might be angry at Supercell now, but not as much as me, because they also rejected making the Frank skin. Brawl Stars could have had a running game mode, because in the game files there was a mode called Reach Exit. However, it also came with assets of doors which go up and down, as well as buttons that were supposed to open them. There's no known reason why developers decided not to make it a real game mode, but if they did, I think it would have felt like playing Subway Surfers. The next up on this list is the record for the fastest time to run a game. This record was set by a YouTuber named Genghis Khan on a Brawl Ball, which is the best game mode for speedrunning. Genghis Khan managed to run a game in just 11 seconds. However, this was done in a matchmaker. Majority of Brawl Star players agree that Mortis is among the worst, if not the worst brawler in the game. But a YouTuber Physic, who's a well-known Brawl Stars world record seller, managed to set the record for the most trophies with Mortis. He somehow got 2,370 trophies on that brawler. Comment down below if you believe that Mortis is the worst brawler in the game. We already know Brawl Ball used to be super glitchy, because on top of having crazy illegal scoring strategies, sometimes the ball would just get fully stuck in the water. When this happened, players were completely unable to move the ball and simply had to accept their fate. But if you were a pro, it was actually possible to use this to your advantage by getting a lead and simply making it impossible for the other team to score. Did you know that back in 2022, Frank used to hit it from the back? Okay, maybe I worded that poorly, but by spinning Frank around extremely fast and then activating his super, sometimes the game would glitch out and cause the animation to look forwards while the ability was dealing damage behind him. And while this could be a bit useful for tricking players into getting hit, let's be honest, nobody bothered to use this trick. But everyone loved this star power. I'm just kidding. Pat on the back was a star power for Jean and was arguably one of the worst and most hated star powers when it was introduced, because it clashed with Jean's super, which was meant to pull in an enemy, making Pat on the back ineffective and unpopular. This star power allowed Jean to heal a friendly brawler for 2,000 HP. However, it was extremely situational, which is why it was removed just 3 weeks later. Did you know back in 2021, there was actually a game mode that was so unpopular that it got removed after only 1 week? Womp womp. Released in July 2021, it started with 2 teams of 2 players, aiming to steal the trophy until the end of the game. It got discontinued because it was a boring game mode overall that was not popular. Players were just using speedy and tanky brawlers that were way too overpowered to compete with. This star power was the first one to ever get removed from the game. Of course, I'm talking about Poco's Swan Song. It was one of the original star powers that came out in the star power update. Nobody used it because it was basically useless. The whole point was to give someone 1,000 HP with a super annoying song, which didn't benefit you in any situation. So yeah, this star power really sucked. On the other hand, Poco is one of the most loved Brawl Stars characters. Okay, maybe not. But today we'll avenge Poco. First, equip the Screeching Solo Star power, which allows Poco's super to deal damage. Then, when friends invite you to play, choose Poco. Use your super ability only on enemies and refuse to heal your friends. If they start calling you out, just tell them that it's payback for saying nerf Poco. Sprout mains can be literal menaces to society. I mean, his super allows him to throw a seed, which literally grows unbreakable walls. This is usually used to block enemies. However, it has the same effect on teammates. All you need to do is wait for your friend to enter any corner of the map, and when they don't expect it, use the super to trap them. Make sure to spin around in circles afterwards as the icing on the cake. Some players take using the map to the next level, just like this Bibi who engaged onto this Brock by attacking him with her bat and swung him right into the wall where the minecart appeared, managing to insta-kill him. You definitely don't see that every day. Getting too desperate for a goal in Brawl Ball can lead to an absolute destruction, something these two quickly found out when they tried to to force their way into the goal. Dynamite deals so much damage to closely grouped enemies, even at close range. As Mortis and Rosa try to run into the goal, Mike drops a bomb and absolutely blows them both into smithereens. It's not often you'll get a double kill because the enemy is charging across the goal line, but there you have it. Going from 900 IQ to negative IQ in just a few seconds, this is the best, then worst play you've ever seen. This Leon made an incredibly smart play by sneaking up on his duo huddled in the corner and easily took them both down. But then Leon makes a strange decision to try and run back for the box, even though it's in the storm. He quickly started to take storm damage and dies right before he can get out of the storm. Way too greedy. Have you ever wanted to go to prison? No? Well, there's actually a way to go to literal jail because of Brawl Stars. Thanks to something called phishing. This is when you send fake links to steal personal information off of other players, and if you get caught doing this in the USA, you can face up to $2,000 in fines and even a prison sentence. Most other countries also have strict rules for phishing, so unless you plan on stealing the rarest account in the world, it's really not worth it. Everyone has a friend who never stops talking in chat. But did you know this can actually get you banned? That's actually surprising to many players, but according to the Brawl Stars TOS, using in-game chat for spamming, advertising, or scamming can get you banned. So the next time that your friend starts spamming, simply just tell them that you've reported it to the authorities. What do scientists and Brawl Stars have in common? Well, the answer is experiments. Just like Wazim and his friends did when they made a super satisfying Ruff experiment. Everyone picked Ruff as their brawler and did this air support gadget move. Immediately, you can see tons of markings on the floor and then boom, everyone was just straight annihilated. I wish I had this many friends because I would literally do this every day. It's not like I don't have friends. I do, it's just... Wait, do I? Did you know you can counter almost any brawler with Cordelius? That's what happened here as Fang was on his way to unleash his super, thinking he just won the battle. But Cordelius pulled an Uno reverse card and threw him into the Shadow Realm. Okay, maybe not exactly, but the perfect timing on this ability led to an insane clutch. Did you know that robots used to fall from the sky? Sounds ridiculous, right? But in the game Bot Drop, which was 3v3, you and your team would literally have to face raining robots. And every time you take one down, it drops a bolt. Once you collect 8 bolts, your team wins. Now, here's where it gets interesting. 12 robots spawned each match, but if neither team hit the bolt count in time, a massive robot would spawn, which on kill dropped 3 bolts. Unfortunately, this mode never came back that popular and was ultimately removed. Back in the beta days of Brawl Stars, you could play co-op. This was essentially a game mode where you and your friends could play against a team of bots. And asking to play co-op was really just a way to tell your friends that they sucked. However, the game mode was so unpopular that Supercell had no choice but to remove it. Luckily, today we have friendly battles, which have so many more options and are much more fun. I love friendly battles! If you wanted to guarantee yourself a win in OG Heist, then picking Daryl was a genius move. OG Daryl used to be able to move 23 tiles using his barrel roll super, which is literally more than 3 times its length today. Because of this, many players use Daryl to move their way across the entire map and just shoot down the safe and heist. But because he was insanely overpowered, Supercell later changed Daryl's roll capacity to 7 tiles. How did Supercell think that this was a good idea? Remember back in the day when every new brawler had a fresh original design? Well, it seems like Supercell's gotten a bit lazy lately, especially when it comes to female brawlers. In the past, they had all these unique faces, bodies, and heights. Now, it feels like they're just reusing the same templates over and over and over again. It's almost like Supercell fired their creative team somewhere along the way. Did you know that in the Brawl Ball event banner, there's a ball that has stars on it? But that same starry ball never shows up anywhere else in the game. Even the icon on the banner has regular hexagon shapes instead. I will call that ball stars or star balls. Okay, I should probably stop. Supercell devs need to go back to kindergarten because this next fact proves that they don't even know grammar. If you go to the what is mastery screen and start reading the sections, you'll notice that the words mastery points in the first section are both capitalized while the third section they are not. All you had to do was press shift. Have you ever noticed that when you pick Larry and Lori, Larry just has one huge tooth instead of a full set of teeth? Yeah, no need to thank me. You should probably just find aliens to delete your memories after seeing this. But seriously, that is one massive tooth. How does he eat? I bet you've never noticed this next one, because if you take a closer look at the upper portion of this Brawl Ball map, it actually resembles a frowning face. But wait, that's not all. If you check out the lower part of the map, then you'll spot a smiley face. Knowing this will change absolutely nothing about your life, but I promise you, you'll notice this forever. Have you ever gotten a tie in Brawl Stars? You probably have, but I bet you didn't know that this is possible in Hot Zone 2. It's tough to pull off in a real match, but if you grab a friend and hop into a friendly game, you can make it happen. Make sure to pick Gale to make things easier. Then, when you're in the Hot Zone, use Gale's super to launch both you and your friend into the zone, and stay there until both bars hit 100%. I'm not really sure why you'd want to do this, but there you go. RT just may be the biggest threat to Ash mains, because his ability marks enemies when he hits them with his attack, allowing the whole team to deal extra damage to marked targets. But here's where it gets tricky. You can literally be your own enemy. If your brawler has a self-damaging gadget like Ash or Gus, using it with low health will instantly finish you off thanks to the extra damage from RT's mark. This has turned Ash mains into literal ashes. Hypercharges can be super annoying. Sure, they're fun when you have them, but not all brawlers have one, and they're so OP. And don't get me started on the price, because it's way too expensive. I think instead, every brawler should get their hypercharge released immediately at early access. How dare Supercell try to make money? Unbelievable. Edgar! I hate him. You hate him. Heck, even your mother hates him. Yeah, don't ask how I know that. Okay, but seriously, with his hardcore shield, passive healing, fast speed, and him having hypercharge, he's undeniably a no-skill brawler. CEO of Brawl Stars? More like CEO of broken devices. Have you ever been hit with the thumbs down pin? Yeah, you probably have been. But the worst part? It's a free pin, so literally every noob has access to it. So if you ever get taken out by a noob, you can bet they'll spam that thumbs down button and it will drive you crazy. Honestly, banning this button might be the first step towards world peace. Star powers were a good addition to the game, but some of them were way too overpowered. One of them was Shelly's Band-Aid. Back when it healed nearly all of her health, when she dropped below 40% HP, made her so hard to kill, and she could just basically rush you down as much as she wanted. The fact that she practically got an extra life every 15 seconds really angered the community, and Supercell had to take action and nerf it fast. You used to be able to become invincible in Brawl Stars. If you popped Surge's power shield gadget right as you scored in Brawl Ball, you'd become invincible and stay frozen in place, which meant you could easily spawn behind the enemy and kill him rapidly from the restart. And yet this is still less broken than Mortis on release. Who still remembers Power Lead? When it launched, it was so buggy, but the worst part about this is how grindy it was back in the day. I'm glad it was reworked. Free trophies is something everyone wants, but no one can ever get. But with this old map maker glitch, you actually could. Basically, if you go to win streak and then won a game in a map maker, you'd get trophies. This was obviously unintended, and the community weren't happy, to say the least. Supercell had to quickly patch that one out. This Bull bug took forever to fix. One of the main reasons Bull Super is so good is because it pushes people out of the way. But before he was in his hypercharge, the knockback would just be removed with no explanation. This made his super so much worse. This is the most annoying mistake players can make in Duo Showdown. When you pick up a power cube, it gives one to both you and your teammate. But if your teammate gets taken out and is waiting to respawn, don't grab any cubes unless you're in a tight spot. If you do, your teammate will come back with 0 power cubes while you're sitting there with 10, basically making them useless. It's super annoying when you get caught playing Brawl Stars in class and now you have to leave the match. If that's you and you've entered a match with a random player or your friend, at least do everyone a favor. Close the app completely so the game replaces you with a bot. Have you ever bought a Brawl Pass? If you have, then changing your nickname font to chromatic is a must. Now, whenever you enter a match, your teammates will probably think, wow, this guy must be a pro player, and it'll give them a confidence boost. Supercell is definitely not beating pay-to-win allegations with this one. Everyone hates those players who just quit right after a match. If you're going to leave, drop a message in the chat to let your friends know, because disappearing just feels awkward. But hey, I don't have to worry about notifying anyone, because I don't have any friends. A spinning player in a solo showdown means he wants to team up with you. So the next thing you must do is eliminate him. You know, spin around to gain his trust and then backstab him. We must eliminate teamers. When I play Brawl Stars, I always want to win the game as fast as possible. I want to kill the enemy now. But when you're playing a mode like Knockout, a bit of patience goes a long way. Very often, waiting for the smoke to appear before making your move to fight can assure you an easy victory. Or if you're playing Brawl Ball, making sure that you get the ball into a good position can be more important than just rushing the enemy team right away. But personally, I don't have time for that. Get over here. In Siege, collecting those first screws is super important. That's why the best players always pick fast brawlers with dashers like Mortis to rush the first bolt at the start of the game. So if you ever felt greedy for rushing towards the first bolt spawn in Siege, do not feel greedy. Remember, only 4 screws spawn in each round of Siege. So if you manage to just get 2, you've secured yourself at least half the screws of the round. Sometimes the boxes on certain maps get in the way of either yourself or your teammates. The solution? Break them down. Breaking down boxes in basically any mode can give your team a huge advantage if you have a lot of long-range brawlers or the enemy team has a lot of short-range brawlers. If you're making space for your team by intentionally breaking down boxes, you're definitely moving like a pro. However, everyone knows Piper's gadget, homemade recipe, can be super useful. This gadget shoots literal homing bullets, so some Piper mains get cocky and believe you can actually find people hiding in bushes or invisible Leon. However, in reality, this isn't true and usually leaves you with Leon behind your back and a smashed phone. This is not a bull. But wait, how is that possible? It's because he is Leon. Some players would argue that this is not him, but if that was true, he wouldn't be able to go invisible. Ball doesn't require ammo to shoot, or at least it used to be like that in the OG days of Brawl Stars. Because of this, players assume nothing has changed, as the ball simply has no reason to take ammo. And while this makes perfect sense, Supercell apparently thinks balls get stuffed with bullets before being shot at any goal. They better not let Supercell host a soccer match in real life. But this next feature is so old, even OG players might not remember it. Crests were essentially passive abilities you could unlock by filling up groups of upgrades. The first group had 3 upgrades per stat, the second had 2, and the third just 1. Unlock all 3 crests, and another bar at the top would appear, giving you a special ability. However, there was an even older name for these abilities, and it was Nitro, which eventually evolved into the gears we know today. Players claim there's an Easter egg in Colette's book, so what's so special about it? If you tap on her in the brawler menu, then flip her around during her animation, you'll spot a little Spike sticker hanging out in her book. It's not exactly an experiment yet, but maybe Colette has some big experiment plans for Spike. If you're playing BB and run into Buzz, what would happen if you knock him out mid-super? Wait for Buzz to activate his super, then bait him in close. Once he's about to strike, hit him with a full bar swing, and voila! Buzz gets knocked right out of his super. Maybe it's time for him to upgrade that suit. Some players think playing Daryl is basically cheating, because you should be able to literally shoot through walls. Just pick Daryl, head into a match, stand near a wall, and use his recoiling rotator, and he'll deal damage to opponents hiding on the other side, even through unbreakable walls. Sure, it's not a ton of damage, unless your enemy has like 1 HP left. Everyone hates getting swarmed by Ash's turrets, so I wanted to test something out. Can Surge's super make you completely dodge their damage? I charge up Surge's super, wait for the rats to close in, and as soon as they're near me, I jump, and we took no damage. This actually works. Myth confirmed. Apparently, using Sprout's super after trapping a player will unstuck him, so I set up the perfect trap with Sprout's super, locking a player in. Now, I charged my super again and threw it on the side with free space, and the trapped player actually gets teleported out of the trap. This myth is definitely confirmed. Okay, this one's not even in the game, because apparently Brawl Stars has the most cringe ads. Now, Supercell is usually known for having decent ads, especially when it comes to Clash of Clans or other games. But there's a myth that Brawl Stars ads are super cringe, so let's check it out.
Which brawler has the ability to go invisible?
Edgar. What the fuck? Upgrading brawlers in Brawl Stars is one of the most satisfying things to do, but it can be a double-edged sword. If you upgrade brawlers that are weak or don't fit your playstyle, it's only going to slow down your progress. Instead, focus on saving your resources to upgrade brawlers that are strong and suit how you play. If you want to go pro in Brawl Stars, staying on top of the current metas is a must. The game's always changing with updates every month, introducing buffs and nerfs to different brawlers. Each brawler has a chance to become weaker or stronger, and ignoring the meta will pretty much backstab you. So do yourself a favor and stay updated. Who knows, maybe one day we'll finally get a real Edgar nerf. Or, better yet, he'll be removed altogether. Buying star powers and gadgets can totally change how strong your brawler is, but picking the wrong ones can make them so much worse. So before you spend all your hard-earned gold, check what the community says or watch a video to see them in action. You don't want to be that Griff running Coin Shower, which just adds 1 extra wave of coins. Seriously, who even uses that? that. Showdown tournaments would be a massive upgrade to Brawl Stars. While there are official Brawl Stars tournaments that can get you nice rewards, some players got inspired by Rocket League's daily tournaments where players compete to get rewards. Honestly, if this was added to Brawl Stars, I might start playing Showdown again. Have you ever hit the play again button and noticed the thumbs up pin is always based on the default brawler skin? Some players suggested to Supercell that if you're using a legendary skin, it should swap to the thumbs up pin from that skin instead, which would make way more sense. This idea would make Supercell go broke. The suggestion was to replace gems with bling, so every in-game purchase that needed gems would use bling instead. Fame is arguably the most useless feature in all of Brawl Stars, and players avoid contributing to it like it's their sole mission in life. However, with this rework, players would be able to get skins for free. Every month at Global Tier, you would get a random super rare skin drop, at Lunar you would get random epic or mythic skin, and with Solar, you'd get a legendary. If you're playing Showdown on a map with a weird wall setup, use Sprout to ruin someone's day. When your teammate dies for the 100th time, wait for them to respawn and head to a part of the zone surrounded by walls. As they spawn in, they'll think you're just messing with them since they can leave easily, but not so fast. Throw Sprouts' super to block their only escape. This can be even better if you know there's a Barley in the game. Gus's shield is probably the hardest ability to land on teammates since you have to aim it perfectly, but most players know this and will make it easier by walking closer to you. So next time they do that, just aim in the opposite direction and miss on purpose. Wait, don't leave the game! Everyone knows Supercell occasionally drops QR codes for free rewards in Brawl Stars, but this lets you do something evil. Just create a QR code using any online generator and send it to your friend saying it will give them free coins or gems. By the time they realize this is not the case, they'll already be rickrolled. If you're looking to ruin the Brawl Stars experience for your friends, just pick Buzz Lightyear. This brawler is ridiculously overpowered, slicing or lasering down anyone who crosses his path. Sure, it makes winning easy, but it completely destroys the fun. Honestly, I'm glad he's getting removed. Buzz needs a nerf that goes to infinity and beyond. Wanna know how to make your friend hate you by being too chill? Next time you're playing Duo Showdown with someone and your friend is spectating you and have over 15 power cubes and your teammate doesn't have any, just chill around and act as if you don't care, pushing everyone with no hesitation. This only works if you're a regular player though. If you're a pro like me, this will just seem normal. Japanese players have a smart trick up their sleeves. Did you know that switching Brawl Stars to Japanese lets you see exactly how many gems you've bought? All you have to do is switch the game's language to Japanese, tap the info icon, and boom! Detailed stats on how many gems you've purchased, earned for free, and spent. How have I earned -10 gems? Here's a secret trick only YouTubers can do. If you've made it into Brawl Stars creator program, you can get free skins from Supercell. But if you bought a skin from the shop before claiming it as a reward, you would actually end up getting another copy of the skin after you've already claimed it. However, you won't be compensated for this duplicate. So, what was the point? We all hate Shade. Let me show you how to counter him. When that sneaky ghost hides inside a wall, thinking he's untouchable, just pick a thrower. Use your projectiles to target the wall, and you'll still deal damage, taking him down with ease. BossBot might think he's the toughest enemy around, so here's a way to humble him. In the training grounds, Sprout can throw his super to push BossBot into a corner, where he'll actually teleport over the wall. Now, I know this doesn't do any damage, but come on, this is pretty fun. What happens when you're lucky, but in the opposite way? Well, you'd be this Nani. She sends her drone flying toward Colette, who dodges it perfectly. Then, Nani activates her teleportation gadget, only to land right on a jump pad that launches her straight into Shelly and Bull, who absolutely obliterate her. Now she's a literal dust. If you thought own goals didn't exist in Brawl Stars, well, this Sprout proved otherwise. In this reverse lucky moment, Sprout is up against opponents who shoot the ball straight toward the goal, but as he desperately tries to block it with his super, he instead pushes the ball right into his own goal. Yeah, this was insanely lucky to even occur, but I don't think he was very happy about it. Did you know Supercell once considered Homer to be a brawler? No, I'm not talking about that one, but this prototype that looked just like a Colt and could shoot only one bullet per attack. Back in 2019, just before Brawler days, some players dug up hidden game files and extracted this masterpiece. However, when they found it, it kind of creeped them out. Why didn't they just add Homer Simpson instead? I bet you didn't know Supercell scrapped this trumpet pin. Now, you may be wondering what's so special about it. Well, let me tell you, nothing. However, some leakers managed to save this sound effect, so take a listen. It still isn't known why they chose not to use this, but some players think they might be saving it to use in another game like Clash Royale because, let's be honest, trumpets in Brawl Stars? Really? But did you know hoverboard was supposed to be a thing in Brawl Stars? Okay, you've been fooled once again, as this was actually the codename for yet another brawler that was supposed to be added to the game. And this one had the ability to walk over water, shoot lasers, and worst of all, a creepy smile. Stop staring at me. Everyone knows quick message replies exist in Brawl Stars, but did you know about the secret ones? Yes, these messages were supposed to be more colorful, which you can tell by this photo that shows the messages with code tags. Now, although this is pretty useless, I have to admit it would be a fun feature, unless your friend picks blue, so now you have no idea what they're saying. Setting a world record for the most kills in one game is really hard, so a well-known YouTuber, Corey Brawl Stars, decided to set a record for most deaths in a single game, and he managed to die 16 times in a single game and broke a record. So the next time that you're constantly dying, don't stress because you might just break a world record. Brawl Stars' record for the fastest time to complete in-game tutorials is one of the most known records of all time. This record was set by a player named Pineapple, and it's 37.57 seconds. We can all agree that it will take years for this record to be beaten because milliseconds make the difference between 50 fastest tutorial completions. Here we have our first trophy record, and this one is for the most trophies on a single brawler. Some of you might think that this record is held by a no-name player who has 4,503 trophies on Colt, but it's not. Even though that's a lot, the real record is held by a player named One Trick Dyna who got over 4.7 thousand trophies on his Dynamite. If you can get a kill in less than 2.9 seconds after the game starts, then you might be eligible to break the world record for the fastest kill, held by who other than Wazim. This record also means that the person who died technically set the world record for the fastest death in the game. Have you ever wished that you could turn into a Walmart Leon? Well, this used to actually be possible, as in 2021, Brawl Stars devs announced on their Twitter that many players were experiencing an invisible player glitch, but didn't know how to solve it. However, this wasn't actually that useful, as players would still have their shadow, name, and health bar all visible. Many YouTubers such as Ray decided to test out this glitch and actually really liked it. Maybe Brawl Stars should bring it back as a custom skin. Everyone hates dying to Mortis, and I don't blame you. I mean, the guy literally goes to the barber and tells him to give him the level 1 barbarian special. But a few years ago, a strange glitch actually made Mortis useless. See, this glitch caused the bats to simply float around him and glow green, and they wouldn't even attack the opponent. This may be the most useless glitch in Brawl Stars history. Did you know that buying a brawler only box used to actually be possible? Yep, you heard that right. You would get brawlers of different rarities based on your luck. However, this was replaced by brawler offers, which is a lot cooler because now you at least know what you're getting. What do you think? Should they bring back brawler only boxes? Back in 2019, there was actually a bonus currency which you could use to open brawl boxes and get valuable items. Star tokens were a special kind of token that could be obtained by winning an event for the first time whenever a match change happened. You could exchange 10 star tokens for one big box, which contained many valuable items in the game. Star tokens were removed when Brawl Pass was introduced, but they actually returned in 2024, which many of you probably know. Having your friend go AFK mid-game has to be one of the most annoying things ever. But just to make this troll even better, you can use auto shooting software to keep you in the game forever. You being AFK also appears as an easy target to the other team, allowing your friend to abuse this by waiting for opponents to get close and then ambushing them. So if you think about it, your friend should really be thanking you. Back in 2016, Supercell introduced the option to create multiple accounts, which was pretty cool for grinding on different profiles. Many people use each account for a specific purpose, and if you're tired of waiting for your friend to switch accounts, then it's time to troll. Create as many accounts as you can, and every time your friend switches the game mode you're playing, tell him you need to switch accounts. Do this for long enough, and your friend will either give up on switching the game modes or throw their device into a river. Everyone knows that you can create custom maps, but this can be a great way to ruin your friend's day. All you have to do is create a completely broken and unplayable map and then challenge your friend. Tell them if they win against you, you'll give them free gems. When they see what's actually going on, their hopes for free gems will be gone. Some trollers took this troll way too far and literally got banned. Edgar has to be one of the most hated brawlers in Brawl Stars community, and to be honest, I hate him too. But this makes him the perfect brawler to use to enrage other players. You don't even need to do anything special either. Just inviting your friend to do a 1v1 and playing Edgar will be more than enough to ruin their day. Why bother scoring in Brawl Ball if you can just eliminate the entire team instead? This Carl hid behind the box with the ball and made it look like he wanted to try to dribble it into the goal. However, the entire enemy team is huddled up on the touchline, but they must have forgotten about Carl's super. He kicked the ball away and quickly ran to the touchline to use tailspin and killed all three of them in an instant. But the worst part of this play? Bull walking the ball into the net and getting all of the credit. Crazy things tend to happen when you end up in a mirror match. Some players think it's the truest test of skill, but sometimes you can get wrecked. However, what if you both got wrecked at the same time? These two Gales just played the matchup the exact same and ended up killing each other in the process. Not often you see that happen. This might be the fastest goal ever scored in Brawl Ball. When this guy loaded into his game, he and the entire enemy and friendly team were all huddled up in the corner of the enemy base when they spawned in, along with the ball. Needless to say, it didn't take much effort to score from there, and the blue team quickly gets a free win as the same thing happened on the reset. I mean, can you imagine if this happened to you? I would be furious. Brawl Stars has over 100 million active players, with many of these being teenagers. Given that audience, it's no surprise that Supercell needs a strict policy when it comes to negativity. But while spamming thumbs down 1,000 times won't get you banned, swearing will. You can check yourself how far the rabbit hole goes. Once you realize that testing these limits aren't worth it, you'll probably start using that rusty, unused thumbs up button. If you ever get really tired of Brawl Stars and decide to uninstall the game, you have exactly 180 days before Supercell can ban you for inactivity? This is due to a statement in their TOS system that allows them to ban any player even if no clear rule was broken. Some players have even theorized that this is a Supercell way of saving money by saving space in their database. Did you know you can officially get banned from ranked for being a noob? That's right, Supercell stated that in the rules of the ranked game mode, simply being a bad player can get you banned for a certain amount of time. And while this is rare and up to Supercell's discretion, it's technically possible. This is probably the most satisfying bush kill ever, and it was done by Jackie because she was sneaking through the bushes and stumbled into the absolute perfect opportunity. When the entire enemy team walks into her range, she uses her super to pull them in, killing them all, allowing for a super easy goal. Everyone loves breaking skulls in Brawl Stars, but some brawlers can do this much better than others. Heroes Time put this to the test, trying out every brawler against a field of skulls until he found the best thing ever. Using Crow's super, he was able to break nearly 300 skulls at a time. Playing Brawl Ball is usually just a mess. I mean, I don't think a random has ever passed to me. Okay, maybe it's not quite that bad, but you should take lessons from this squad as they make passes so good. Even Ronaldo couldn't even defend them. And at the end, Frank takes the ball, scoring the coolest goal ever. This has to be the best planned strategy as a scoring player, is the tankiest one in the squad. If you ask me, this is a dream team. B isn't usually a big threat, but never underestimate anyone. Because when this B uses her gadget attack, it managed to kill every opponent at once in the most satisfying way possible. I'm not gonna lie, that looked super cool. But I'm pretty sure this clip is actually CGI designed as B propaganda. El Primo on top! Did you know Piper was in a boxing match? I'm just kidding. But that's what players first thought when they saw Piper's old reworked profile icon. She literally had missing teeth and people immediately started making memes about it. Fortunately, the community did enough bullying for Supercell to take Piper to the dentist and add some teeth to her icon. The goal used to be an actual feature on the map, making it super easy for trolls to abuse. For some reason, Supercell decided to leave space behind the goals and make it the spawn point for players. But what they didn't expect is for players to take the ball behind the goal and spam kick and pass, making it impossible for the opposing team to take the ball. After Supercell found out about this, however, they moved goals to the edge of the map. Back in the day, you had to collect power points for a specific brawler to upgrade them. This system divided the community as some players loved it while others hated it. But here's something interesting. If you upgraded the brawlers during that time and checked the power points needed for those same brawlers today, you'll notice they require fewer points than newer brawlers. That's because Supercell kept the old PowerPoint values in place. Now you have unequal power points on brawlers. Amazing! You finished Star Road? Well, guess what Supercell has for you as a reward? One totally useless feature, fame. That's right, after you've unlocked all the brawlers, you keep progressing, but just for fame. With ranks ranging from global to alien, all you get is a badge and a battle card. Some might think it's a cool cosmetic, but when new brawlers drop, you get absolutely nothing until they show up. So it's basically free labor. Did you know you can actually get BB's bubble stuck inside of a wall? All you need is a friend to pick up Buster and then head to a map with thick walls. Aim Bibby's bubble at the wall, then have Buster activate his super to push the bubble until it's completely stuck. It's pretty wild. Honestly, if I ever tried chewing BB's bubblegum after this, I think my teeth would fall out. If you love spamming sprays to annoy your enemies, then you're probably going to hate Sam, because every time Sam uses his super attack, he throws his knuckles, and as soon as it lands on the ground, poof, your spray disappears. I used to wonder why I never saw any toxic Sam players spamming sprays, but now it makes sense. This gray secret strategy will guarantee you a win. Portals are usually visible to the enemies with hands pointing at them, but if you use Gray's portal in a bush, they will essentially become hidden, with the exception that enemies can see the smoke effects when teleporting. And if you do the timing just right and place them when the enemy team is not looking, then you can create an opportunity for your team to dominate the match. Back in the day, you could buy the battle pass for just 140 gems, but Supercell noticed that most players were getting those gems for free instead of actually purchasing them. So they said nope and changed it back to $6.99, with the Brawl Pass Plus priced at $9.99. And of course, an honorable mention, Brawl Pass Plus sucks. If Supercell keeps this up, our wallets are going to be empty. Well, mine already is, but that's besides the point. Mega Pig is the worst. You literally have to wait a whole month just to get the tiniest reward ever. But what's even worse is when you end up carrying your whole club only to get mid rewards because no one else bothered to participate. I just got a new legendary star drop. Let's open it. And it's just a pin. Seriously, getting pins and sprays is making players lose their minds. Coins or literally anything else would be better, but Supercell just keeps pumping out more pins and sprays. So now I can't even complete my whole collection. I think we should get a golden thumbs down button instead. Many players think limited time events are a fun addition to Brawl Stars, but they're actually more of a cash grab. This is because every reward either costs a ton of money or is super hard to earn. Some events are literally just reworked versions of old game modes, like the Godzilla event I talked about in the previous video. At least we don't have really strange collab events, for now. Trophy resets have become a standard feature in most competitive games, but in Brawl Stars, it's a bit different, because you only get a tiny amount of bling for it. And here's the thing, the trophy reset goes way back, knocking your progress down even if you've got brawlers at 1500 trophies. And what's the most you can earn? 640 bling. Seriously, all that effort for a small amount of nearly useless currency? Maybe we should start paying Supercell with bling so they know how it feels. Back in the day, you could use Gene's pole to crash everyone's game. The worst part is, you'd get trophies for performing this glitch too. You'd get kicked out, logged back in, and boom, trophies. This glitch was insane, and Supercell had to disable Gene until they could fix the problem. Speaking of game crashes, this bunny jump glitch also ranks up there with one of the weirdest in the history of the game. After just bugging out all over the place, using her super would also just crash everyone's game. Man, how hard is it to make a super that doesn't literally crash your game, Supercell? Back in my day, the max power level was 9 and everyone was happy. When Supercell adds new power levels, they usually just add one at a time. However, in 2021, they increased the max power level from 9 to 11 in just one update. A lot of players hated this change as it was way too pay to win. Speaking of pay to win, early access bundles are a huge mistake from Supercell because they're so unfair. If you unlock a new brawler before everyone else and that brawler is broken, then get ready to just dominate your games while you have an OP brawler no one else has access to. I absolutely hate it when my teammates don't work together in Brawl Ball. So the next time your teammate is right by the enemy goal, pass them the ball instead of trying to walk it in yourself. Because let's be real, most of the time you'll mess it up and then your whole team will be mad at you. Wait, someone's knocking on my door. If Kit pops up on the screen as you're entering a match, he's guaranteed to spawn right next to you. My advice? Run in the right direction as fast as you can. Ah, Kit! Teammates who expect you to grab the power cubes that are right beside them are so annoying. In Duo Showdown, if there's a cube right next to you, just pick it up. Seriously, it's that simple. And then they wonder why the other team shows up with 10 power cubes and wipes us out. Everyone hates the play again button, especially when there's a quest for it. If you're a real Brawl Stars player, you probably just avoid that button like it's an Edgar and just go back to the lobby before hitting play again. Honestly, Supercell should just delete the play again button. Have you ever lost a match in gem grab because you gave every single gem to the enemy team? This happened because you didn't follow one simple rule. When you have 7 gems or more, just camp at the back. Even if you play with the best tank brawler like El Primo, you're probably just gonna mess it up. But that would never happen to me because I'm the best El Primo. And I lost the match. Map maker maps are usually fun and a great addition to Brawl Stars. But here's the unspoken rule. If you lose the match, you have to hit that dislike button. And if you win, you go ahead and like the map. That's the real Brawl Stars democracy. Please stop dying. Of course, nobody goes into a Brawl Stars game trying to die as much as possible. Well, except for every random I've ever teamed with. But if you look at the pro players game, you'll see they die way less than a normal player, even if they're losing. I absolutely love El Primo, but sometimes I need to accept that he's not the best brawler to pick. When you want to win your ranked games, you need to make sure your brawlers work well together. But drafting isn't just about picking the strongest brawlers. Every pro player knows that you need a balance of movement speed, range, health, damage, and CC in order to win a competitive match. So El Primo it is. Sometimes I'll lose a match and wonder what the heck just happened. But that's why watching your own replays is one of the best ways to improve. This is why just about every pro spends a lot of time replaying their games so they can see their own mistakes and learn from them. However, looking at replays can be risky, especially when you see your teammates completely whiffing their supers. Everyone knows that the next new brawler is going to be overpowered, and if you believe this is an accident, well, you're totally wrong, because it seems Supercell uses early access brawlers as a way to make some quick money. However, as time progresses, the brawler gets magically recognized by Supercell as unfair, and they fix their mistakes. Kind of sus if you ask me, but according to Supercell moderator Adrian, this is completely unintentional. Did you know leaving the game after losing a match will make you avoid losing trophies? Okay, that's a complete lie, but some new players actually believe this. It gets worse though, as if you do this too early in a competitive match, you could even experience low reputation and a ban on rank. Knowing this may save you your next Brawl Ball match. Objects usually stop the ball in place when it collides, but the same doesn't apply for turrets. Many players think placing the turret right before your goal will stop the ball or make it bounce, but in reality, the ball will phase right through it. And the same applies for pets, as they can't interact with the ball either. If that was possible, I would just equip my pet Ronaldo. Tick's head is one ability everyone believes it's impossible to avoid, and some players even think Tick's super can damage you in the air. If you take Tick's head and another brawler and make them jump using jump pads at the same time, it would ultimately cause the whole Brawl Stars server to collapse. Okay, not exactly, but they would pass by one another and Tick's head wouldn't even notice. Cordelius's Shadow Realm can be the most annoying thing ever. However, some Nitas believe that their hero Bruce will come in to save the day. Nita mains can't get Bruce into the realm, but hopefully he'll beat Cordelius for them. So to boost chances of survival for Bruce, players would spam Healing Bear gadget thinking it's going to do a magic thing. But in reality, Bruce didn't heal even for 1 HP and was probably killed. I think we probably shouldn't mess with Cordelius's shroom. Have you ever wondered how long it takes for Daryl to charge his super? Well, if you just stood there waiting for his super to fully charge, it would take a whole 30 seconds. And after all of that time, all you get to do is roll. Yay! Look at Edgar. Yeah, I know, gross. But if you look closely, he's got this little dead emoji on his shirt, and the name of that icon is actually called Bad Randoms. Pretty ironic. Also, honorable mention, his main attack is called Fight Club. So maybe, just maybe, Edgar doesn't even exist and is part of Supercell's illusion. I bet you didn't know about the flashing upgrade indicator. In the brawler menu, if your brawler has enough power points, you'll see the upgrade icon light up. But if you've got enough gold too, it'll actually start to shine, showing you it's fully ready for an upgrade. Sometimes having the right drip in Brawl Stars can make players like you more. But if you ever wondered which skin started off the whole hype, it's gotta be Phoenix Crow. This was the first legendary skin to cost 300 gems and is basically Crow's ultimate form. However, that's still not enough drip. Supercell, we need an Among Us skin. Did you know that Squeak's explosions actually sound different depending on which team he's on? Here's how it sounds on the red team, and here's how it sounds on the blues team. Honestly, I would never have noticed this if someone hadn't pointed it out. Supercell's been trying to hide these sets the whole time. Well, not exactly, but there are a bunch of skins that match a theme perfectly and aren't officially grouped together. For example, there's beetles, zombies, and even food sets. So what's your favorite secret set? Apparently there's a way to teleport your friends against their will. For this, you'll need to use a random map maker map or make one yourself, then pick Colette, and when your friends approach you to attack you, use Colette's super but aim for the teleporter. This way, you're effectively pushing them into the portal, sending them to Narnia against their will. Okay, it's not actually that far. Some pro players claim there's a trick to dodge enemy shots while still landing your own hits, and it actually works. But you'll need sharpshooters like Piper or Brock to pull it off. Here's how. Find a corner on the wall and position yourself just right. If done correctly, you'll notice their aim goes right through the corner, letting you hit enemies while staying safely behind cover. It's basically free damage without the risk, unless Edgar spawns behind your back. Janet can be such a pain when she uses her super to escape right as you're about to finish her off. But can she actually escape Jean's pull with her super? Time to find out. I just need to pick Janet, make sure her super is charged, and let Jean use his pull. As soon as he does, activate, and nothing happens. There's supposedly a way to dodge overtime damage with Meg, so I had to try it out. I just need to grab Meg, bring in Amber to hit me with her fire-breathing attack, and as I'm burning. Now, if I just switch into Meg's robotic form, I should be fine, and the burn damage completely stops. This myth is 100% true. I bet you think tanks should always be the gem carriers in gem grab. Well, that's actually not true. A lot of players assume that more health means a better chance to win, but what really matters is picking a long-range, versatile brawler. These brawlers can escape tricky situations and hold their ground when things get messy. So next time you're in gem grab, maybe leave the gems to someone who can run. Did you know you can accidentally KO your own teammate in Brawl Ball? If you use your super to pass the ball and it hits a teammate with low HP, it can actually cause damage and even finish them off. If you've maxed your account, don't fall into the trap of buying too many true gold and silver skins. Sure, they're a flex, but they're literally just expensive recolors of default skins. And the worst part? Both of these skins will cost you roughly 35,000 coins, and as soon as you drop all of that gold, a new Brawl Talk drops, and suddenly there's a shiny new brawler you can't afford to upgrade. Luckily, I'm already in gold debt, so I can't even make this mistake. But speaking of skins, spending your gems on them is a horrible idea. Gems are super valuable for progressing your account, and washing them on skins can really hurt your progress. Instead, focus on using them for hypercharges, because it's a much smarter investment which will make you win more matches. I'd usually say to save them for the Brawl Pass, but Supercell removed that option. Thanks, Supercell! Supercell completely forgot about this mistake. With the introduction of unlimited trophies for brawlers, players could rack up insane amount of trophies. However, Trophy Road is still capped at 70,000 trophies, leaving high-tier players completely unrewarded. Some players have even hit 20,000 trophies with a single brawler. But guess what? The only reward they get from this is a super cheap water bill. Get it? Because they don't take showers? Another creative idea that Supercell rejected is a combo modifier. Inspired by Marvel's synergy system, it's supposed to be released after all the hypercharges were added to the game. So if two specific brawlers teamed up, they'd unlock a special passive ability. This modifier would encourage players to try brawlers they usually ignored for a better chance at winning, and the only requirement is to be silver 1 in ranked matches. Guess I can't participate. While Sprout can push bosses around with ease, did you know it can also move Ikes? If you're unfamiliar, Ikes are the turrets you need to destroy to win certain game modes, but if you aim Sprouts' super just right, you can actually move the Ike across the battlefield. Just imagine if two Ikes encountered each other. I think Brawl Stars' servers would actually explode. Did you know you can literally invade other players' lobbies? All you have to do is open the Join Team code menu, create your own code, and copy it. Then, by simply changing the last number in the code and trying a few variations, you'll eventually sneak into a random player's lobby, and you can throw all their games. Wait, why did you kick me? Meeple has been around for a bit, but players have already found clever ways to make him super annoying. Just like in this Brawl Ball match where Baby stole the ball from the opposing team and was about to score a goal with her super. But just as she was about to pull it off, Meeple used his stunning gadget to stop the ball. It might not have been BB's lucky day, but it sure was for the enemy team. Piper just got saved by her rival Mandy in the most unexpected way. As Piper was fleeing from Mortis, who had the advantage and was closing in for an easy kill, Mandy's super came out of nowhere and blasted straight through Mortis like a train. Piper then simply celebrated her unbelievable luck by spinning around and picking up leftover power cubes. If you've ever wondered what a 0.001% chance in Brawl Stars looks like, it's definitely this. 5 Alien Fame players with gold skins joining the same 5v5 match. And yes, this actually happened. These players somehow perfectly joined at the same time, creating what might be the luckiest and rarest moment in Brawl Stars history. I can't even imagine how terrified their opponents must have been. I bet this is the luckiest 8-bit main out there. First, he dodges Cold's bullet barrage, then Piper's sniper shot. After that, he avoids balls and teleports out of Mandy's super projectile. And as the cherry on top, he manages to escape Tick's head by teleporting too. Honestly, watching this 8-bit's gameplay almost gave me a heart attack. From the moment quests were introduced in Brawl Stars, players had been dreaming about Ultra quests, but Supercell has avoided the idea completely. These quests would appear at the start of each season and involve insanely tough challenges, like dealing 100 million damage with massive massive rewards like 100 gems. But let's be real, Supercell doesn't like when we work too hard. Or maybe they just don't like giving away stuff for free. Kudos were added to the game to boost players' confidence and spread positivity, but instead, they've almost turned into a way to sarcastically call someone a noob. Still, no matter what they mean, just imagine if you could track how many kudos you've given or received. Well, that's essentially what the community suggested, and honestly, if this feature didn't get rejected, I'd probably have a million kudos.
Balootic, you know that's not a good thing, right?
Shut up! Many of you have probably thought that a well-known YouTuber named Hyra holds the record for the player with the highest number of trophies, but actually, he doesn't. Nor does he hold the record for the first player to reach 100,000 trophies. A YouTuber and a record breaker, Physic, is the one who was the first to reach 100,000 trophies, and just a little over a month ago, he also got 130,000 trophies, making him also the first player to reach 130,000. Do you know the record for the highest damage in one hit? A Brawl Stars YouTuber, Magma, went through a detailed plan in order to set this record. He first collected 99 cubes, drank an energy drink, and almost one-shot a boss who had 220,000 HP. Believe it or not, but Magma ended up dealing 218,803 points of damage, which is absolutely insane. Did you know that back in 2017, there was this secret overpowered way to score in Brawl Ball? Instead of dribbling the ball just as usual, brawlers who jumped during their super were actually able to pick up the ball during their jump and literally fly into the net with it. Not even Messi could defend this. But if you try this nowadays, the ball will simply get stuck on the boxes and leave you sitting in the net looking like a complete noob. However, this wasn't the only glitch in OG Brawl Ball, as back in the day when a player scored, the brawlers would sometimes respawn in the same positions they were in from before the goal was scored. This would often lead to super intense situations and cause many angry players to spam Supercell until this was finally fixed. One of the craziest Brawl Stars glitches of all time has got to go to the star power swap glitch from 2019. By switching brawlers before a friendly battle and starting the match immediately after, players were actually able to load into the game with a different character's star power. And as you can imagine, this bug was incredibly overpowered, leading to situations such as Colt leaving a Brock incendiary after every single bullet, Mortis being able to do fire damage, and even allowing any brawler to attack and kill their teammates by using Poco's star power. Unfortunately, this was only ever available in friendly battles and has since been patched out for being way too overpowered. Everyone knows that money is the best gift of all time, so in the early days of Brawl Stars, Supercell would actually give out coins as a reward for playing matches. Coin boosters used to cost 20 gems and increased coins received by 50% for 7 days, while Coin Doubler cost 50 gems and doubled the next 1,000 coins received. This works similarly to the way that token boosters do today, but coins used to be the only resource for leveling up your brawlers. However, this was removed during 2017 as Supercell had made plans to rework the game's entire currency system. Speaking of currencies, most people don't actually know about this forgotten currency for special events. Players needed tickets to enter Big Game, Robo Rumble, and Boss Fight. You'd get 5 tickets whenever a new event opened, and the more tickets you used, the more tickets you earned. In Robo Rumble, using the maximum 20 tickets could get you up to 620 tokens. But in 2020, tickets were removed and the game modes were reworked. Most players don't realize there are over 500 different skins in Brawl Stars, and with 82 brawlers to choose from, every player has that one skin they really want. So if you want an easy way to annoy your friend, just simply grind or pay for their favorite skin and just get it before they do. If you want to make things even worse, challenge them to a 1v1 and beat them using that very skin. Back in 2017, Brawl Ball was added to Brawl Stars and quickly became extremely popular. However, it wasn't just regular players who loved it, trolls did too. Because back in the day, players could score on their own net, guaranteeing a loss every single game. I personally once scored 5 own goals in a row, causing my friends to rage quit. However, in 2019, Supercell decided to put an end to this, removing the ability to score own goals. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book. When playing on a newbie account, you can get a lot of trophies every win and only lose a few after a loss. But this can be abused. All you need to do is create a second account and tell your friend you need help boosting their trophies on your ult. Play a few games normally to earn his trust, then start throwing games on purpose, causing your friend to lose a lot while you barely get affected. Just make sure they don't report you, as if they do, you can say bye-bye to your account. If you want to get more creative, try throwing your teammate right into danger with Gale's gadget, more specifically the bounce pad, which launches both friends and enemies into the sky. Many players use it it to their advantage, but imagine launching your teammate right into danger with this gadget. That would definitely be the last time we were teammates, if you ask me. Do you ever hate your team so much that you just want to kill them? Well, this Colt found a neat way to sacrifice his Poco by luring one of the bombs straight into him for the kill. Thank God we have the report button. Does he know that in deathmatch you're supposed to kill the enemy team, not your own? We all love a good 2-for-1 deal. And that's what Colt saw as he tried to take down two very low health opponents. Getting a double kill with Colt's super is hard, and right when he fired his super, he mistimed it and tried to correct his aim. However, Brock decided to lend him a helping hand by dashing into the Jean, which allowed Colt to kill her, but also meant Brock got caught in the crossfire. Every second matters when you need to clutch, especially when you're a pro. This Piper knew she needed to clutch the game out, so she runs out to the side in order to try to pick up a last-minute elimination. Luckily for her, she manages to snipe Brock with 1 second remaining, clutching the win for Team Clash. Have you ever wanted to make money off Brawl Stars instead of playing it? Well, Supercell has a message for you. While selling accounts on other platforms like Steam might be a common activity, doing the same with Supercell accounts is a sure way to face a permanent ban. Don't be fooled by websites claiming to be 100% safe, because they're not. In fact, Supercell is so strict that even giving away accounts can lead to huge problems. Everyone knows abusing glitches can get you banned, but did you know talking about them can get you banned as well? In recent years, Supercell has taken these situations very seriously, including the sharing of exploits. If you really want to get banned, then promoting glitches on any kind of social media may do it for you. You'll end up as a Guinness World Record holder for getting the fastest ban in Brawl Stars, and probably social media you posted on at the same time. Let's be real here. Everyone hates Miko, and killing him may just be the best thing ever. Just like how this Bo tricked Miko into his trap. As Miko was trying to sneak up and get some free kills, Bo was one step ahead, killing players to ensure he gets his super. But after Miko sees it's a 1v1, he pulls out his super and jumps in the air, thinking he's just won the showdown. But as Miko is about to land, Bo puts mines on the ground and activates them, killing Miko instantly. This might just be the smartest Miko out there. Never mess with a Fang main. This player decided to 1v5 bots in a bounty game, and he makes it look like the easiest thing ever. I know bots aren't exactly difficult to beat, but look at this. I just wish my randoms were even half as good as he is. If you were an 8-bit main back in the day, you probably remember how overpowered he used to be. But did you know he had his own secret minigame? By selecting him in the menu and pressing his buttons just right, you could trigger a 6-second countdown, and boom, you'd be sent to Supercell's official site to play Project Laser, where you flew and shot enemies in space with 8-bit. Honestly, I think Supercell put more effort into this than they did into Brawl Stars itself. Many players think the Godzilla event was a genius new idea by developers, but it's actually not. It's just a remastered version of Brawl Stars' old Super City Rampage mode. Back then, it was inspired by the classic Godzilla movie, with 3 brawlers teaming up to stop one massive monster that wanted to demolish the entire city. However, it wasn't as popular as Supercell hoped and was removed shortly after. But after a couple years, Supercell decided to reinvent the game a bit, changing the name and some of the mechanics in the game itself, turning it into a much more popular mode. Back in 2021, Power Play was a limited mode where players could play 3 matches per day and earn points to unlock mega boxes or skins. And by playing perfectly, players could earn a max of 1,386 points per season. However, the rewards were way too expensive, like the gold mecha bow skin that cost 50,000 points, meaning players had to grind 36 perfect seasons just to unlock it. The grind was so tedious that most players simply just gave up. Supercell later replaced Power Play with the Power League, but then replaced with Ranked as we know today. Grinding Power Play was literally a full-time job. Can I go home now? Did you know that Mastery Rank isn't centered either? Pretty much every player loves to flex theirs, but not anymore. That number is so off-center in the star, it pretty much renders the game unplayable. But I have a solution. Simply throw your phone into a lake and you won't have to look at it anymore. If you were lucky enough to get Buzz's hypercharged Godzilla skin, then you have to try this. After getting the first skin that changes forms based on whether you're hypercharged or not, players were super excited. But what they didn't expect is that when you select it and quickly flip in the lobby, you'll see Buzz shooting lasers from his But how do I learn this power? Speaking of Buzz, did you know there's only one skin that doesn't have cheeks? Pause. I don't mean those cheeks, but every skin except Buzzette has his recognizable Buzz cheeks, and also, honorable mention, the Godzilla skin is the only skin where we get to see his eyes. But we saw more than that. Ugh, that should be enough. I bet you didn't know that you can steal your friend's XP. Well, not exactly, but if you check their profile and click the blue XP button at the top, it shows your friend's XP. But here's the funny part. It says your experience level instead of theirs. Guess that makes me a pro now. Many players think you can start the Brawl Pass at level 0, but that's actually not true. When you go to the Brawl Pass section, you'll see there's a token icon under what people call level 0. So next time my friend asks, what level are you in Brawl Pass? I'm just gonna simply say, I'm at token. Everyone hates getting hit by Cordelius's super, but did you know there's actually a super easy way to counter this? All you need to do is pick EMZ and activate your super right before he activates his domain on you, leaving your poisonous gas all around you, damaging and slowing Cordelius. Who's helpless now? Did you know it's actually possible to do a shadow step with Melody? Well, sort of. If you fire a few attacks and surround her with her Melody buddies, then step into a portal, she'll completely wreck anything in her path. That means she'll damage every brawler around and even destroy skulls. But there's a catch. If she uses a jump pad instead, it won't work. Melody might just be a ninja in disguise. Jessie literally requires no skill whatsoever. Okay, I'm kidding. But for those who didn't know, you can actually charge her super really quickly. Every time her electric ball hits someone, it charges her super at the exact same rate, even if the ball bounces. Now it's time to spam sentries. I bet you didn't know Macy can literally self-destruct with Willow's help. If Macy activates her hypercharge and super, Willow can completely counter it by using her super, forcing Macy to self-destruct. This ability should be renamed to Guaranteed Loss. Everyone knows when Frank charges his super, you should run for your life. But guess what? It's actually possible to counter Frank. All you need is Bibby. Then, when you see Frank winding up his power, hit him with Bibby's knockback ability, and boom! Frank is completely shut down. If I was Frank in that situation, my phone would have just shattered. Speaking of Frank, there's actually a way to make him completely unable to attack. If you take Frank down to 2000 HP or less, he can't attack at all, turning him into a total punching bag for other brawlers. Sorry, Frank mains, you should probably switch to Edgar now. Just kidding. Did you know Everyone remembers when Gears were released in 2021, but the way Supercell introduced them was a massive fail. When you still needed gear tokens to upgrade your gears, they were super expensive, and upgrading them took forever. Luckily, we have the reworked gear system now, which is so much better. Nowadays, when you respawn in Brawl Stars, you start with 33% ammo, and I think we can all agree this is fairly reasonable. But back in the day when you respawned, you'd start with 0 ammo, which made brawlers that could reload fast super broken compared to characters with slow reload speed. This was a huge mistake, as with certain brawlers, if you lost map control once, you would just be unable to leave your own spawn. Get me out of here! Many players remember when Brawl Boxes got removed, but do you remember them breaking the game? When Supercell removed Brawl Boxes, a bug occurred for some players that caused them to have their Trophy Road rewards refreshed, which gave some players an insane amount of credits and coins. Supercell compensated players who didn't get the massive boost in progression, but me personally, the only compensation I want is a Primo buff. If you use this bug to gain trophies, then you should be ashamed. When duels got released, sometimes you would get placed into a match with bots instead of real players. This was to make sure the queue was full as players spread out over the leaderboard. However, if you clicked play again after a game against a bot, you'd play against a bot again. You could repeat this infinitely, and for obvious reasons, this completely ruined the leaderboards for a while. Most players don't know what the best way to farm trophies is. While it's super common to push trophies on brawlers evenly, this is actually not the best method, because if you leave one brawler at low trophies, you can use them to get guaranteed wins and gain a win streak. Then start up a game on a brawler you actually want to push trophies with and race ahead with the win streak bonus. In Gem Grab, once you've collected your 10 gems and that timer starts ticking down, only one word goes through my head: run! Now obviously you want to get out of the way and run the clock down when you've collected enough gems, but sometimes backing off too quickly can be detrimental. 15 seconds is a lot longer than it sounds, and if you group in your spawn too quickly with your team, you may just surrender too much control and lose your advantage. Remember to keep a cool head and retreat as sensibly as possible. You may have pinched your friends before, but have you ever pinched in Brawl Stars? Lane pinching is a technique where two of your teammates focus the same brawler, not necessarily to kill them, but in order order to take their space or lane and get a more advantageous fight. This technique is super difficult to pull off properly and can be devastating when done wrong, but if you pull it off perfectly, it can win you the game. Speaking of good decisions, there's another thing you need to consider when you're picking your brawler: the map and mode. Different modes and maps cater to different brawlers, and knowing what brawler to play separates pros from the average. And my random picked Edgar. Getting a triple kill with the super is one of the best feelings in Brawl Stars. However, pro players know that it's key to use your super at the perfect time. And sometimes this means saving them for the next fight or taking out the last line of defense in Brawl Ball. My losing streak is finally over. What happens if Willow uses her mind control on Nani while Nani's using her super? Well, as expected, Willow takes control and Nani just drops her remote. But what about the little exploding robot? It just vanishes into thin air. I guess that makes it the luckiest little decoy, because it gets to live another day, unlike this Edgar. Can Frank's gadget counter Kit? If Kit tries to target Frank thinking he's an easy kill, he'll be in for a big surprise. Frank was basically built to counter Kit, and when Kit uses his super on Frank and stuns him, Frank's noise canceling gadget kicks in and instantly cancels the stun. Now Kit's still stuck in his super, making it way too easy for Frank to take him out. Tara knows how to play a game of cards, because she's a literal hero, but does she actually have a full set? To test that, we're going to use her basic attack. If you look closely, her cards change every time she throws them, ranging from hearts to diamonds. But I think she could fancy a Joker card, now that she's out of ammo. Every brawler has an idle animation when you're not moving, but apparently Spike doesn't. So if I jump into a match, stop moving, he shouldn't have any animation. And yep, it's true. Spike just stands there, completely still, like a real cactus. No movement, nothing. Honestly, it's kind of creepy. Players often claim it's impossible to exceed 16,000 HP without power cubes. But here's how we can bust that myth. Ruff's field promotion star power increases the max HP of nearby allies every second. So if Frank, with his base 14,000 HP, stands next to Ruff long enough, his health will eventually surpass 16,000 HP. And just like that, myth busted. I wanted to test the theory that Tara's super can cancel Mandy's. As Tara, if I time my super right before Mandy launches her projectile, she should be stopped completely. And it's correct. She doesn't even get to fire it. Did you know Larry and Lori can become statues? Usually they have their mouths open and will do animations, but if you choose their true silver or gold skins, their mouth will actually stay closed the entire time. Myth confirmed. Gale's gadget, Twister, is supposed to be useful in close combat, wherever Edgar jumps on you or something else. But can it stop Colette's super? Well, let's test it. I've got my gadget ready, and here comes Colette charging at me with her super. The moment she activates it, I drop the Twister and nothing happens, and she gets to damage me. This one's false. Can you stack kits on top of each other? First, my kit teammate jumps on me, then I jump on the enemy kit. Boom! We're actually riding on top of the enemy kit, creating a tower of 3 stacked kits. This myth is confirmed. Rushing with Shelly is the most common mistake players make, and you should avoid it completely. This is because most of the time, you'll just get demolished by other ranged brawlers. Instead, what you should do is prioritize approaching tanky short-range brawlers, since she's an anti-tank brawler. Also, be sure to never camp in bushes, or your IP address might end up on someone's list. Bruce should eat enemy bullets. Pause. Let me explain. Most needed players throw their super anywhere as soon as they get it, and this usually ends up with Bruce dying instantaneously without contributing to your match. However, a much better way to use him is to literally make him your meat shield when getting shot at by non-piercing projectiles. In other cases, where you're facing AoE or piercing attacks, try throwing Bruce right beside your enemy, and now he'll be a distraction, letting you get away. Auto-aim has to be one of the most common mistakes new players make. I know I've mentioned this before, but unless you're being chased, auto-aiming with long-range brawlers like Colt will make you miss nearly every shot. Also, make sure to strafe when shooting moving targets, and you're on a good path to being a pro. Just like me. Never mind. If you're playing Bull, then stop dying in 3 seconds. In other words, when you choose a Bull to play a match, don't rush to the center with your super thinking you have enough health, because trust me, you don't. The most annoying thing you can do in Brawl Stars is probably to break defense walls. This will certainly make players hate you, and I know you're going to say, but Balootic, it was an accident. Well, you were too. Okay, jokes aside, when you're playing with Brock and Brawl Ball, for example, try to avoid using your super on your team side, because chances are you're just going to lose. What What if brawlers got a 3rd star power? It could completely change the way they're played. Adding a new ability would give players more strategies to try and maybe even encourage them to use brawlers they've never tried before. It could also drastically shift the meta, making matches way more unpredictable and exciting. However, let's just hope this idea doesn't make people want a second hypercharge, because that would be way too much. Look at this coffin dance Brock skin. Sure, it might not actually benefit the game whatsoever, but it looks super funny and would be used by everybody. Supercell has to add this. One of the most unique ideas out there is for Gray's custom gear called Hole-in-One. This gear would allow Gray's bullets to travel through his portals on the floor, allowing him to pull off some of the most tactical shots ever. Besides shooting your bullets through a portal, you could also pull enemies with this gadget. If you ask me, that would be absolutely terrifying. But speaking of gears, imagine if Fang got a gear called Other Shoe 2. This gear concept would let him shoot his other shoe after kicking. The second shoe wouldn't charge his super, but it would deal the same damage as the first. Honestly, this is just a distraction from what everyone wants to know though. Where does Fang keep getting shoes from? Most players think duels in the only mode without bots, but that's not entirely true. If you lose a few matches in duels and queue up again, you'll actually face a bot in your next match. Today, bots only appear for 1 round, but in the past, you could spam the play again button and keep facing bots endlessly. This let players rack up tons of trophies on their accounts with almost no effort. Man, I'm jealous. Who's faster, Carl or Mortis? Most of you probably said Mortis, but you'd be wrong. However, you can test this out by challenging your friend to a race and saying whoever wins gets gems. Then, all you need to do is use Carl's super and gadget to zoom past them and easily win the race. This is probably the best way to earn gems. Too bad when I tried it, I got scammed. If you ever thought an enemy couldn't become your teammate, this Melody proves otherwise. So, Melody's rushing to the goal like usual when Stu comes speeding in from behind and the goal is wide open. And you'd think she's throwing the game by passing the ball to Stu, but you'd be wrong. Stu actually passes the ball back to her, not once, but twice. And then Melody scores her goal. Yeah, this Stu just lost a generational aura. But no one was as lucky as this Edgar right here, who somehow escaped elimination not once, not twice, but 3 times in one match. First, he dodges another Edgar mid-jump while on low HP, and then another Edgar jumps on him, and he manages to flee again. And as the cherry on cake, Cornelius pops out of a bush. But guess what? Edgar escapes once more. Too bad he can't escape from me dive bombing through his window. This Frank might be the luckiest noob ever. He was hiding in the bushes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When he finally used his super, he got countered by Kit, and everyone thought it was game over for him. But in an insane twist, Frank instantly flipped the tables and wiped out the entire team in under a second. I guess this proves that Frank is unkillable. Well, aside from the fact that he's a zombie. But that's not as bad as the BB getting rid of her generational luck. She dashes straight for the ball on the left side of the goal and grabs it, but now she's up against Rico and Dynamite, who immediately start shredding her health. Just when it seems like it's over, Dynamite makes a huge mistake. He throws his super bomb right into his own goal, and then as she's about to die, BB takes a shot into the destroyed part of the goal and scores! Yeah, good luck seeing something like this happen in Brawl Stars again. Did you know Willow is secretly the best Dynamite player? Sounds crazy, but that's exactly what happened here. Dynamite was about to get destroyed by Mortis, but then Willow took control, pulled off a stunning triple Dynamite jump, and landed an insane kill on Mortis. Honestly, Dynamite owes Willow at least 100 gems for that clutch save. One of the luckiest moments ever has to be when streamer Skrek was opening a hypercharge drop and wished for Piper's hypercharge.
One that I'm looking for? Piper. Let's go.
Then instantly got it right after. Yeah, who said Supercell doesn't hear us? Okay, now, please remove Edgar. Please remove Edgar. One of the most creative ideas for Brawl Stars that got rejected was trading. The concept was simple. Players could trade cosmetics, resources, and maybe even Brawler. It would have been the perfect way to use up those millions of unused power points and make the game more free-to-play friendly. But wait, did someone say free? Yeah, that's a hard reject from Supercell. Everyone knows about map makers. And sure, some custom apps are pretty fun, but honestly, the community has had enough of it. And that's when the mode maker idea popped up. Instead of just creating a map, you could create your own custom game mode as well. You'd be able to tweak existing game mode settings, add different objectives, and really get creative with the gameplay. This wouldn't even be that crazy of an idea either, seeing how games like Fortnite already do this. Did you know there was a time when you could blow up the battlefield in Brawl Stars? These explosive TNT boxes were exclusive to the heist mode. Just hit a TNT and boom! It would deal 2,000 damage and destroy everything nearby. And although TNTs are gone, their legacy lives on through Easter eggs on many gem grab grab maps where you can still see these, despite being unable to interact with them. But if there was an award for the most clickbaity gadget in Brawl Stars, it would have gone to Piper's auto-aim gadget. This gadget rapidly shot 4 tiny bullets which dealt 500 damage each. However, despite their name, they weren't auto-aiming bullets and would literally shoot like any other gun in the game. And unless someone chased you in a straight line, you wouldn't do much damage at all. Thank you, Supercell, for clickbaiting us with a gadget. Ugh. I bet you've never seen someone defend in Brawl Ball like this. Bo Super can place traps that deal absolutely insane damage, but using them correctly can be difficult. This Bo placed his traps around the ball, so even when he died, the Barley couldn't run away with it to score, as he blows up and gets an insane kill. Now that's one way to ensure you never lose in Brawl Ball. What's the craziest trick shot that you've ever seen in Brawl Ball? This Mortis wanted to score a goal for his team and made the brave decision to dash forward and hit up an absolutely disgusting trick shot right through the enemy's team net to put his team up 1-0. This would definitely make Ronaldo proud. We've all been disconnected from the game at least once, but if you leave your ranked matches on purpose, you'll almost always guarantee yourself a ban. Doing this 3 times leaves you a 24-hour ban, not to mention a damaged reputation as well. However, for the next 24 hours, you're effectively protected from sweats, so maybe this isn't so bad after all. Getting banned from the Brawl Stars Championship is easier than you think. In case you don't know, there are monthly qualifiers for Brawl Stars official tournaments, but there is one rule. You must be at least 16 years old to qualify for it. Because of this, many players fake their age in order to play, and while getting caught usually won't lead to a ban, it will ensure, however, that you will get disqualified. We all have that one friend who wastes hours in the training ground. However, it turns out that this isn't actually a total waste of time, as in here, you can do one of the most satisfying things ever. Make sure to select Jackie, and then head to the upper section where the small robot dummies are, and use her hypercharge and super for maximum satisfaction. And I'm saying here forever. Speaking of satisfaction, do you ever just randomly break a box in a showdown? There is just something so perfect about the visual effects, and to be honest, it makes me do it endlessly. My favorite part about this is that there are custom made maps dedicated for this purpose only. Must break more boxes! Getting a triple kill with Grom isn't the easiest thing to do, but it sure looks amazing. This Grom was playing a knockout match when the enemy team eliminated his teammate. So, to get payback, he sent his super bomb at them, eliminating the entire team at once. You probably know that Kit can't go over water, but what if he hijacked a teammate who can? Like Daryl. Well, if Kit hops onto Daryl and he uses his barrel roll to cross water, Kit will actually drop off mid-roll. But here's the crazy part. Daryl still keeps Kit's healing ability after the drop-off. This is literally Bluetooth healing. Being in bushes makes you invisible. But what happens if you're flying over them? Well, try using Janet with her super, which lets her fly and toss bombs from above. If you activate her super while in a bush, Janet actually flickers between visible and invisible. She's hidden until she drops a bomb, then reappears every time one hits the ground. Leon could definitely take a few notes from her. Apparently, Willow can eliminate her own teammates, but is it true? To test it, I picked Willow and jumped into a match with 2 random homeless guys I found on the street, one on my team and the other on the enemy team. Now, let's charge your super and take control over the enemy brawler. Okay, now while I'm in control, I should be able to damage my teammate, and it's not working. So this myth is busted. You can go home, guys.
But Balootic, we have no.
Brawl Stars has so many hidden details, so I decided to check out BB's bat, because there's a theory that her bat actually changes faces mid-animation. So if I open the brawler menu, let her idle for a bit, and there it is. Her bat goes from happy to angry. Myth confirmed. No wonder it feels so painful to get hit by it. Can a teleporter cancel Mandy's super? I picked Mandy, then headed to some community maps with teleporters, and charged up her super. If I use it right before teleporting, boom, I get teleported. However, her super actually got canceled. This myth is false. Knocking back tiny bots in training grounds makes them lay on their side. Let's pick a brawler with knockback ability and head to the training grounds. Okay, now when I use the ability, they actually did lay on the side. So the myth is true. Imagine how awesome it would be if animation played for brawlers too. Everyone remembers when Supercell released the BB Thor skin, but it had an unexpected issue. Apparently, her super doesn't follow the trajectory you aim for. So I decided to test it out. Let's pick BB with her skin and give it a shot. I'll use her super, and yep, it didn't hit the target target we aimed for. Looks like Supercell left us with this hilarious pay-to-lose feature. Have you ever heard of Spotify Wrapped? It's a feature that shows your top songs and stats from the past year. Well, some fans think Brawl Stars should have something similar. Brawl Stars Wrapped. Imagine getting a full recap of your year, with your most played brawler, total eliminations, season progress, and maybe even how many times you carried your team. Here's a creative new game mode, big game, but 3v3. Imagine this. There are two teams, each with their own big brawler boss, and the goal is to take down the enemy team's big brawler while protecting your own. The first team to win 2 rounds takes the match. Also, every round, a different player gets to the big brawler, switching up the strategy every time. I don't know. Something about Big Hank kinda scares me. Did you know you can make Penny's turret shoot across the entire map? Of course, there's a trusty spyglass gadget for that, but you don't even need it. If you place your turret on top of a teleporter, it'll teleport while still targeting the enemies it locked onto before. This essentially turns your turret into a peekaboo machine, catching enemies completely off guard. Ruff might be the only brawler to deliver actual air support. If you use a jump pad with a teammate, you'll keep raising their max HP even while flying through the air. It's probably the only time in game you can heal mid-flight. Supercell pulled one of the biggest pranks on the entire Brawl Stars community with their evil April Fool's joke. They teased a meme skin called Egg Pam, which was literally just Pam shaped like an egg, and it instantly went viral online. Players thought Supercell was showing some love to the meme side of the community with this hilarious idea, but it turned out to just be an April Fool's announcement. However, rumor has it that they actually made the skin for fun, and there are probably files of it hidden somewhere in the game. Spike used to look absolutely goofy. If you check out his old concept art, there were versions of him with eyes and even a nose. But luckily, Supercell made the right call by going with the eyeless design we have today. Besides Shelly having her chicken friend scrapped, she's also the only brawler which got her winning animation rejected by Brawl Stars. In it, she essentially pumps up her shotgun and she just stands there. Yeah, I could see why they decided to remove it. Because if it was supposed to be a victory animation, well, that's certainly not how you celebrate. Most players don't know that in the very early stages of Brawl Stars, players only had tap to move controls. These controls were incredibly frustrating, and trying to move your brawler around the map took way too long. Even worse, the controls were often imprecise and wouldn't even move the brawler to the right spot, leading it to quickly be replaced with today's much better controls. Back in 2019, there used to be a super op star power that players hated. It was called Extra Life, and it would literally give 8-bit an extra life, allowing players to have 2 lives in game modes that have no respawning. This gave you a significant advantage, and by camping until the final zone would almost always give you a win. This made Extra Life a literal cheat code to winning that caused everyone else to shatter their screen. If you ever encountered this in game, it's safe to say you were finished. When Mr. P was released, his porter reinforcement gadget would spawn in smaller versions of his super spawn. You may be thinking to yourself, what's so weird about that? That's not a glitch. And you'd be right, except for the fact that they were spawning in with 90,000 health. Just watch these mini porters chase down Nani. Thankfully, Supercell fixed the bug quickly, but if you're lucky enough to experience this, you're definitely rare. Sometimes 1 HP is all you need. Well, at least that's all this Max needed, as he was getting forced into a corner, but managed to cleverly use the phase shifter gadget to deal tons of damage and pick up the kill, escaping with just 1 HP left. Everyone knows Supercell hates giving out refunds, but did you know getting a refund could literally get you banned? Usually when you request a refund from Supercell, you'll either lose the items or end up with negative gems. However, there have been cases where players were banned for refunds, especially if they tried to refund several times, or if the amount being spent was much bigger than average. Have you ever thought, I can name my account whatever I want? Well, you'd be wrong. If you've ever given yourself an inappropriate name, you probably remember receiving a 2-day ban. But this isn't the end of it, as once you regain access, your old username will be replaced with Brawler. Fortunately, Supercell improved its system to automatically block most offensive usernames, but some players may still have managed to sneak by using titles. What happens if you use Jackie's rebuild gadget over BB's bubble? For this experiment, grab a friend, have them pick Jackie with the rebuild gadget, and then go into a match with BB. First, break some walls, then charge up her super and aim it right into the broken walls. Just as you release, have your friend use Jackie's rebuild gadget, and BAM! BB's bubbles get stuck bouncing up and down in the wall. This happened because BB uses jawliner gum. Here's a mind-blowing detail about robots in Brawl Stars. When most robot brawlers like Barley and Daryl use the crying pin, they actually cry oil. But if you use a crying pin with Surge, he sheds tears. That's because Surge isn't just any robot. He's powered by energy juice, not oil, which means he runs on electricity. Surge is literally an eco-friendly robot. Hypercharged skins are an awesome addition to the game, but let's be real. Some brawlers actually look better without their transformations. Which begs the question, what if we had a toggle to turn the hypercharge effect on or off? Kind of like this skin randomizer button. Honestly, this feature would make so much more sense for certain skins. I mean, have you seen Godzilla Buzz shooting lasers from his butt? That alone would make me turn this button on. What if you could exchange power points for other resources? For many players who've maxed out their favorite brawlers, or even all of them, power points have essentially become useless, especially after Supercell increased their drop rate. But this idea would enable you to trade power points for gold, bling, or even gems. However, let's be real. If you think gems could be free, yeah, keep dreaming. Supercell will make you pay to enter the training ground. Okay, not really, but did you know there's a time limit in the training cave? In case you want to test this out, if you stay in there for about 13 minutes, the match will end. Does Supercell not want me to get better? I need to shoot these defenseless bots forever. Speaking of prototypes, did you know Shelly was supposed to have a pet chicken? In the early days, Shelly originally had a person following her around, but Supercell scrapped the idea because it felt a bit creepy. Instead, they came up with the concept of a pet chicken that would heal her during matches. And even though this chicken was a much better idea, Supercell ultimately decided not to include it in the game. Among the many early sketches for Project Laser, one stands out, a female version of Brock. Some players later nicknamed her Brockette since she had a rocket launcher and was essentially just a female counterpart to him. However, this concept eventually evolved into the Brock we know today, and many fans are probably still cursing Supercell for not letting us have a female version of Brock. If there was an award for the weirdest codename for a scrapped brawler, it would definitely go to Hook Dude. This character was designed with a super that could pull opponents toward him. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the twist. He used his scarf to do it. And guess who else rocks a scarf? Edgar. So maybe if Supercell had introduced Hook Dude and his scarf weapon, it's possible Edgar might never have existed at all. What a dream that could have been. This is one of the smartest plays ever made, and it was pulled off in the Brawl Stars World Championships. You see, ZD1 needed to win quick, so Site Tampo came up with a quick sensational move to seal the game. He used the ult to rapidly steal a gem from the middle of the field, and boom, there was nothing the enemy could do. This eventually led them to winning the game. Everyone hates cheaters, and beating one feels amazing. But what if you beat 5 cheaters at once? Well, Crying Man, a Brawl Stars veteran, did exactly that. Having streamed and made content for years, he built quite the audience, but not all of his fans were friendly. And one time, 5 cheaters decided to gang up on him in Showdown while he was on stream. But Crying Man would demonstrate some insane skill and manage to turn the tables on all 5 of them at once. What happens if you aim Frank's attack, then quickly flick his aim into another direction? He'll still face that way, but the attack will land behind you, in the direction you first aimed. This also works for his super too, making his attacks become totally unpredictable and the perfect way to throw your enemies off guard. Like every new brawler, Shade is kind of broken. In case you missed it, he's an epic brawler from the Halloween update and is literally a ghost. But players discovered something that's never happened in Brawl Stars before. Shade's super sends him into a different dimension where he speeds up and can pass through walls. But it gets even crazier. His speed actually stacks up to infinity. It gets so fast that the servers can't even handle it, and it entirely crashes the game. Speaking of new brawlers, Halloween just brought us Juju. She's got some insane abilities like walking on water, changing her attack style based on the environment, and even having a pet that attacks for her. But apparently she absolutely fails the skull test, and she only popped 13 skulls. That's rock bottom on the skull breaking leaderboard. Instead of scrolling through your entire brawler collection to find your favorite assassin or damage dealer, imagine if you could just filter by class. This would make picking the right brawler way faster, and you wouldn't run out of time mid-search. And I'm out of time. Recently, Supercell has been super generous with free rewards. Oh, Hypercharge! Boy, hold on. Before you get too excited, there's a catch. You can't just claim that sweet free Shelly Hypercharge unless you've already maxed her out. And what's even worse is the free tag on the shop icon that'll just sit there and taunt you until the offer disappears. However, players came up with this genius idea. Instead of getting a free Hypercharge that we can't claim, we should get Hypercharged drops. Sounds perfect, right? Well, Supercell doesn't agree. Barry's super can be so annoying, but did you know Bull can completely counter it with his super? If Barry comes rushing at you with his spinning super, just activate Bull's super and charge right into him. You'll knock him out of his spin and stop him immediately. Just another reason why nobody should use this abomination of a brawler. If you get bored while playing Brawl Stars, then there's one thing you could do that will save the world, and here's how you're going to do it. Go load up Brawl Talk, get frustrated by Branks' bald head blinding you, then learn how to be a Photoshop pro and just slap some hair onto Franks' head. Boom, problem solved. Phew. Finally, you can watch Brawl Talk in peace. Sorry, Franks. Apparently, if you use Hank's milky skin, you'll be able to hide your teammates. When you press and hold his attack, then hover the bubble over them, they'll actually become hidden. And now your teammates can effectively do a surprise jump on enemies. This is literally a pay-to-win skin. Can you dodge Crow's super without moving? When Crow swoops down with his super, just stay still and you'll absolutely take 0 damage. The reason behind this is that most players just auto-aim his super, which makes Crow land right on your spot, unintentionally putting you in safe zone. After this fail, he probably retired to become a pigeon. Everyone knows about the legendary King Frank skin that never got released. Well, guess what? You can finally purchase it, but here's the catch. This skin is only available through the Supercell store and costs 15,000 store points. These points are earned by buying items from the store, meaning if you want the skin, it'll cost you around $100. Alternatively, you can complete quests in pretty much any Supercell game to earn points. Now you can finally play as King Frank, though your wallet might feel a little lighter. Look at this cool trick you can do with Mandy. On certain maps where she sits on her throne, you can spot her casually watching the match like she's enjoying an ancient gladiator battle. However, if you select Mandy as your brawler and play on the same map, she won't be sitting on her throne anymore, because now she's the one in the battle. Most players think that there's a filter that stops you from matching with the same brawler as you, but that's actually not true. If you're lucky, you can end up on a team with the same brawler you're playing. And believe it or not, there's even a slim chance that all 3 brawlers on your team could also be the same. However, I found this out the hard way when both my teammates loaded in as level 1 ticks. How are you dead already? There's a way for you to get your own Supercell creator code, but Balootic, you need at least 1,000 subs. Well, don't worry, fellow brawlers. Supercell just changed that, and to get it, you only need 1,000 followers on TikTok, 100 subs on YouTube, or 25 followers on Twitch. It's literally too easy. That should mean I qualify too, right? Okay, maybe not. Did you know Cordelius and Lily use the same Shadow Realm? Okay, maybe you did, but this can be super useful, because if your teammate is Cordelius, then both of you can dive into the dimension together to finish off an enemy. Yeah, they definitely won't be expecting that.